Okay, so I see your logo. I'm not
I'm
seeing. Oh, wait, there we
confirming
go.
camera settings. There
There
we
he
go.
is. There he is.
Yay. I'm confirmed.
Okay, so man, all right. First of all, Shiggles, welcome back. It's only been a week this time instead of 2.
Yeah, we did it.
So this is now episode 3. I actually titled this one "There's Something New and I Want It," for a specific
Ruh-roh.
reason. um,
I have a guess what that might be, but we'll wait. We'll see. See if
okay.
I'm right.
I want to talk a little bit about the activity on the YouTube channel because I was pleasantly surprised by it this week. Although it seems like we have a hard number. Like once we hit 500, it
Mm.
just seems to completely fall off. Although granted, I did not check today to see, but when I was looking at it yesterday, we had excuse me, I didn't get any sleep last night. When I was looking at it yesterday, we had um, over 500 views on 5 out of the 6 YouTube shorts that I made, and the 6th one only had 27.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I think someone I'm gonna have to pay attention to. But let's see, my channel.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that it shot up to several of those up to like 400 super quick.
Okay, yeah. So we had 415, 400, 27, 516, 499, and 425. I mean, pretty good when you think about. I only logged 2 shorts the previous week, and um, they got 27 views and 12 views respectively. So
Yeah, we did better for sure.
now, granted, my personal record is 1.2K, and I've done that on 3 different shorts. But I mean, when you add all these up, we're well past 1.2K collectively. So it's
Hmm.
actually, I don't know. I was very encouraged by the numbers this week, and we had a few interactions in comments this week. Uh, One person felt that if my editing was snappier, that the algorithm would pick us up immediately. So I guess
Oh
it's my
wow,
fault.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with assuming no blame whatsoever.
um, all right, so let me talk about some of the stuff that's new. First, I repositioned. Well, I got a new lens for my camera. I was telling you how I didn't like it where I was like so blown up on the image that it's
Yeah.
just my head. Um, so I got a wide angle lens, but like it has to be because it's behind my desk. It has to be a certain distance. Um, and because I don't have a mic stand right now, because my new mic stand won't arrive for a couple weeks, I have to stay within a certain distance of my desk also in order to really make this work. Because otherwise, I would sound like I'm talking in a can in order to get the right image. But if I had the portrait lens where this camera is right now, you'd only see like part of my head. I couldn't even get my whole face in there. So,
Nice.
I mean, I guess that's a positive thing.
Yeah, you gotta make do with what you got.
Um, I did get a new desk, which this was originally going to be a display table because I want to start doing some talking head videos in the back of the room. I decided because my desk was a sit stand desk, I'm going to use
Hmm.
that for my display table so I can frame it up better. Um,
Oh, okay.
to me, that just makes more sense.
Yeah, I think that'll work out pretty good.
And let's see, I was a little crazy with prints this week. I don't know how you were doing, but I mean, you did say you wanted to get a few more done this week because you had your wife printing up a ton last week.
Yeah, I was a little uh, technically challenged this week again. I think I might have actually nailed down what the central issue is with
Okay.
my printer, and it's environmental, I think. because this week was very cold, with the exception of today. Today was super warm out here,
Hmm.
but most of the week we've been hanging out in single digits and sub-zero overnight. And I had a really hard time getting anything to not warp this week. I have a bunch of failed prints. I have far more failed prints this week than I have actual achieved prints. Um,
And
and the one that I
you're using a bed slinger, not um, an enclosed XY printer. So
yes,
you would feel more elements as a result of that.
yeah, and the house is older, so it is a little bit drafty.
Okay.
And I did what I could. I actually did think, I think even like a month ago, when I was thinking about it, could possibly be temperature variation.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it gets, I had thought that maybe it was a room temperature thing, because my wife brought up the fact that when we had like our 3 week string of everything was perfect,
Mm-hmm.
she was pretty much always in that room because that's where her gaming PC is set up. And she was in there all the time. Well, when she's in there during the wintertime, she has a space heater running. So she was like, well, it was warmer in there for that whole 3 weeks pretty much because she was playing like Indiana Jones and and the Avatar game. She really likes the that Avatar like
Wow.
first
Okay.
person game.
Someone should like it, I guess.
Yeah. So she was playing those and she's like, "Yeah, I was in there like all the time." And then because she was playing them so much, she would just leave that space heater in there kind of on low. So it would just keep the room a little bit warmer.
Right.
So I was thinking maybe it could have been that, and I put a little like box fort around the heat vent so that I wouldn't get any kind of direct airflow onto the printer
Mm-hmm.
because it's also sitting, excuse me, sitting a little bit low since it's on technically an entertainment center. It's not on a desk, so it's a little bit low sitting. And I figured it was kind of in the pathway. It's like, yeah, when the heat runs, it might just be catching like a really strong draft from the corner because the air just kind of blows straight into the corner and then it can angle over to there.
Well, I actually do have a mild suggestion for you. Um, on Amazon, they do sell enclosures for uh, Bedslinger FTM printers.
Really?
Yes, and it's a thermal enclosure. Like I don't know that there's a heater built into it, but it would keep the cold out more
Yeah,
than
as long as that's yeah, kind of all I want because I think the like the bed heater is probably enough warmth that if it was just enclosed a little bit, that
mm-hmm.
it could bring that ambient up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, like this week with the super cold temperatures, it was unless I was building something like I did print another. This is the largest hexagon shelf
Mm-hmm.
I can print on my
Oh, I like the
little printer
colors.
guy.
Yeah.
I did silver for the backdrop instead of the white.
Okay.
And then I really like this. This is the bamboo cyan. I really like that color. And this was my test too of so I did the painting by layer instead of trying to just keep it the way that the original model was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you would notice that color change really at all when you have this hung on a wall,
No.
because it's just going to be pinned up there.
Mm-hmm.
And these you'd typically print multiples of, so you'd have them kind of
Yeah,
arranged.
they would all be honeycombed out.
Uh, yeah, so I was like, well, that I just wanted to test that out basically and see well because I could when I was pivoting it, with a hexagon, the unfortunate thing is that if you put one of the wide axes diagonal,
Mm-hmm.
you just have another one that is perpendicular to the side, so you can't really blow it up very much.
Right.
You can kind of twist it a little bit off center and get a few more millimeters out of it, but it's just a touch bigger than the other one. So I'm going to have to if I wanted to go ahead and try to do these big enough to do my Legos in, I think I will have to I might do one more test run where I cut that model in half and blow it up as big as I can in two pieces and then see how well they fit together.
Okay.
Because it's still not big enough for even my really small, unless I wanted to put my tiny little minifigure models in there.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're so short that it's just a bunch of empty space. So I was kind of thinking, because I wanted to kind of put them on this wall, like behind me, where
Have
all
you thought
these.
about trying to come up with a mid shelf that would go from vertice to vertice halfway up and just lock in on the
Uh,
angle height?
I hadn't thought about that. That might be an idea, though.
I mean, if
Yeah,
you're
for the really
for the
small
really small
ones, that
ones,
would
you
work.
know.
Yeah, for the really little guys, that would work. But Then I was kind of thinking maybe doing just some flat shelves
Or even if
instead
you
to
did a
take up
T
some of the
frame,
singles.
if you did a T frame that would run right across the middle and split the very bottom, so it would support the middle of the shelf. So
Hmm,
you could have like three separate compartments in each hexagon.
I could try that. I might try that with it when I make it a little bit larger,
Mm,
or if I can make it larger and then do a T frame on top of that. Because I was also kicking around the idea of doing the hexagons instead of hexagon shelves, just doing hexagon light boxes
yeah.
and running like LED strip lights through them. And I could print something super thin on the front, just like a white face that's really thin as a diffuser. I think that would turn out pretty good. I've seen a few plans for them, so I know people have done them. It's just a matter of like getting it and finding a long enough LED strip for it.
Right.
Also, before I forget, while I'm staring at the activity feed here, Joanne, thank you for the follow a few days ago.
Ooh, welcome, Jojo Ann.
Got one more.
Nice. Oh, another one.
Yep. Also, I found out that old Fusey is you.
Yeah.
I did not know that at all the other week.
Oh, it didn't sink in.
It didn't until like 3 days later. I think I was on Steam doing something, and I was like, "Wait a minute, old Fusey is on my friends list." And I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, okay, never
Yeah,
mind."
old Fusey. um, so what else did you print?
The other things I printed one XCOM thing because I've been playing that a lot lately.
Of course you did.
I put this in the Discord earlier, but
Oh,
this
okay.
was originally a keychain. Now it's not a keychain; it's just a little wall plaque.
Oh, okay. So that's from XCOM. Okay,
Yeah, this is
I liked how clean it printed.
yeah, it's pretty good, and it basically this is like your little save icon. It spins in the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Except the keychain was pretty cool because on the back here it had the XCOM logo and the little
Oh.
alien head.
Mm-hmm.
And I painted this in the slicer, and it looked perfect in the slicer. Like because once you scale it up, it erases all the painting.
Yes.
So I had to go redo it, but it kept all the lines for the XCOM and the alien head. And then whenever I redid the painting after scaling it and cutting off the keyring attachment, for some reason it just printed out the X, but in my slicer preview it still had the whole logo. So I don't know where it lost the rest of that thing at. But for my wall plaque thing, it doesn't matter because it's just going to be hung up on the wall anyway.
So
But that came out good.
how
The
many
shelf came
followers are you
out
up to?
good. Ooh, total? I don't know actually.
You got to be close to 40 now, right?
I'm getting up there because I think I had at least 35. I have to look at my channel. My totals. All right, where is it? Where do I get this? All right,
Let's
where do I
see.
get this?
You have 35.
You found it faster than I did. Cool. I have
All I did was go to
35.
your channel. It's right there.
Oh, wow. Trying to find it. I couldn't find it. I was sitting on my channel too. So yeah, I'm at 35. So I'm back up to about what I had before I quit streaming.
All right. Um.
Yeah.
All right. So you got the XCOM thing. You had the. Um. What else did you print? Anything else, or is that it?
Okay. For successful prints, the only other thing I have, and it's not yet done because it prints in several pieces,
Okay.
but I was printing this obsidian lamp that I made some changes to. It was too tall. It's like it's going to be a little lamp that goes, I'm going to put as an accent light kind of on my, right there it is. It would be back here on this little table.
I see you straightened out your cord for your light.
I did. It's got a cable channel and
Oh
everything.
my
It's just not
god, it's
painted
so
yet.
much better. It's so much better.
I like with the light on it. It with the exception of where it directly reflects it, it blends in pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's 4 of these panels, and
Oh.
the black obviously is just going to be black, but then the light will shine through all of the green.
Yes.
So it'll be. I figured I'd pick something that's a little bit contrasty with my other lights, and that way it would kind of look cool. And I think the person that designed it originally designed it to work with that the lamp kit that Bamboo sells, but he also has an adapter you can slide in the center that you can just wrap LED strips around it.
Oh,
And I think that's what I'm going to go with so that I can have, I don't know what the brightness controls are on the Bamboo, like official LED lamp thing, because it might need to be kind of low if it's going to sit in the background.
yeah, I was gonna say it is super bright because I
Okay.
have.
Yeah, because
Oh,
it'll be pretty cool, you know. It's
yeah,
got light
definitely.
behind it. But it's just like it's just a column of four of those set into a base with a little black top on it.
I printed out a very large. I mean, this was weeks and weeks ago. I printed out a very large 3D new circular lamp, and I used the bamboo
Nice.
light in the middle, and it
Hmm.
is very, very bright. I mean, but yeah, you don't want for something that small. I think that that light is too intense.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. It was just be a little bit too much. It wouldn't be as big of a deal, I don't think, if I was just using it as a lamp almost,
Hmm.
like for regular stuff. But for the most part, it's just going to be like accent lighting in the background. And I would like it if the detail was visible. So it can't be so bright that it's going to blow out the image on camera. And so I don't color that entire corner green.
It's understandable.
But so far it's turning out okay. I had a bunch of failures trying to print the panels because they're flat and the corners are thinner than the rest of it,
And it
and they were warping up
kept
really
warping on you.
bad. Yeah, even with like I'd put just bigger and bigger brims on it, and it would warp enough that over time it would just pull the mouse ear brim up off of the plate as well.
Right.
And I was like, well, there's definitely something going on. And of course, it's the fluorescent green filament that we have too. So that was another tip to me that it's like it's definitely not wet filament because that's one of the newer filaments that we have. So it hasn't been hardly open.
Well, plus, I mean, you have almost no humidity at all
Oh,
here.
it's super dry here. It's so dry. It's so dry. I'm back to like I'm gonna have to come up. I have to pull my motherboard out of this computer and sand down some more spots on the motherboard tray because I think there's too much paint between them and the standoffs.
Oh.
If I build up static electricity in this house and like enough to where I can feel a static shock,
Hmm.
if I touch the computer, it will shut off. It's like you just hit the reset button on it.
Right.
And sometimes even if I touch my desk to ground myself,
Hmm.
it's enough that it won't reset it, but it will crash the display driver. And then I have to reset it anyways.
When I had my own cell phone repair business, I used to use those uh, anti-static wrist straps. And
Mm-hmm.
there was one time I didn't use it, and I went to touch the battery on an iPad, and I completely fried the whole iPad.
Ooh.
It was fantastic. Had to buy a whole iPad for someone. It's
At
great.
least it was just an iPad and it's super affordable.
Well, back then it was because there used to be really cheap iPads.
I like how, well, tangent a little bit, but I heard that the budget iPhone this year that they're coming out with is what, $599? That's where it
Yes,
starts.
and they took a lot of features out of it in order to get it to 599.
Mhm.
They took a lot of stuff out of it. But we can talk about that another time. So, is that
Yeah.
what you've been able to do this week?
Yep. Yep. I got two of those side panels. Two of the four are done. The top is currently printing. I printed the base already. It's just this little guy. The panels all slide into the slots, and then it has this nice little carve out in the bottom for your
For
cord.
the
So
cord,
everything will
yeah,
be nice and flat.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I should have, if it prints out well, like I printed the two panels that printed well. Of course, I printed today because when it was so warm outside, I was like, I'm going to test this. I'm going to test this. I'm not going to change anything. And I'm going to see if I can get those corners to stay down just because it's warmer. And I don't have this constant cycling of the heat and the ambient temperature is not as bad. I don't have the same draft.
Yeah.
So I think the ultimate fix is going to be some sort of enclosure, like partial enclosure at least for it.
Hmm.
Even though Bamboo does not recommend that you enclose their bed slinger printers. They specifically say that on the website, but I was like, that's the only thing that's going to stop this. If that's what it is, and that's the only thing that I can really point to that has been a consistent issue.
I did just send you an example of one in Discord.
Ooh, I'm gonna take a look at it. Because the only one challenge I foresaw was, oh, okay, so it's a soft one.
Yes.
There we go.
Well, I mean, it has, I think, rigid plastic poles for the corners
Hmm.
to actually make the shape, but the sides are soft. So, and that would avoid
That's
breezes.
cool. Yeah, that's like the number one thing, and to just keep a little bit of that warmth from the heaters inside there.
Hmm.
Because I've noticed too, like I would watch it do the initial layers,
Yeah,
and it would put down the initial layer fine. So it's not like it's just having an adhesion problem. But then within like half an hour, you go back and check on it, and the corners are starting to just curl.
that's
It was
wild.
very frustrating. Yeah,
I had my
and I think
own.
the only
Go ahead.
the I think the only reason that my hexagon shelf didn't do that is because all of the additional weight is on the whole outside edge, because it builds up from the outside.
Right.
So it was constantly adding more. So it was like that was, I think, keeping it adhered better like that. Whereas like these obsidian lamp ones, like those corners are just that back plane and it's thin so the light can get through.
That makes sense. I had my own bit of failures this week. Um, I wanted to print some Deadpool stuff, and my bamboo was like, if you're going to print anything Deadpool, you're going to do it twice. That's all there is to it. So I came across a model for one of those Deadpool controller holders where it's most of his torso and his arms are just out holding the controller.
Okay.
Okay. And every part so far I've had to print twice because the first one, the supports would fail, which would then turn the entire build plate into a soupy mess. Okay.
Mm,
So we got the head. Okay. Let's see if we can get that in
nice.
focus. There we go. Got the head. Came out nice and clean. Okay. Got a couple of katanas for the back.
Very nice.
Okay. Got his arms. Kind of disturbing that we're doing this in parts, but also came out very clean. Okay.
Hmm.
I went to do his upper torso today, and halfway through, the main support ripped right off the build plate and, ruined the whole thing. So I had to stop it. So I've moved on from continuing that one. I had printed out um, this 3D layered print of Deadpool.
Hmm.
Okay.
That looks nice.
This is the second print because the first
Second.
one it printed out perfect, and I went to hold it and I grabbed it like this, and it slipped right out of my hand, hit the ground. All the slats popped off. Okay,
Oh boy.
which kind of sucked. And then halfway through, you'll notice my red ran out.
You got a different red now.
All I had is dark red left over, so that's what ended up going in place.
Ah,
I don't think it
okay.
looks particularly bad, you know. In fact, I
Uh-uh.
think it enhances some of the 3D qualities to it, but it is
Yeah, I don't.
definitely there.
Yeah, from like straight on, it almost looks like you can see the head underneath the mask, almost.
Yeah. So, okay. Deadpool was cursed for me this week. Okay. But um I did get a couple of logos
Oh,
printed out.
very nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to airbrush these black and then paint the front panels, different colors.
Hmm.
Okay. Um I made this for one of my students who's been overperforming lately. He's a really big Invincible fan. So this is actually for his backpack. It was supposed to be a keychain, but I blew
Oh
it up.
yeah.
So now he can
Hmm.
clip it onto his backpack. Because, um, and let's see, this one,
Oh, nice. Put on the door to the printing room.
it's gonna go on the glass of the printer. Actually,
Hmm.
okay. Let's see. There's this one. Wait, gotta take the glasses off.
Very nice.
Are you not entertained? That one is so clean, I can't even express it to you. So I ordered some gold spray paint. So I'm gonna file this down a little bit just to get it to grab the paint, and then hit
Hmm.
it up with some shiny gold paint, and we'll see what that comes out as. Um,
Very nice.
then I asked my wife if she wanted an art project, and so I went ahead and printed out a bonsai tree for her.
Oh,
Okay,
cool.
so she'll be able to paint that.
Yeah.
Came out super nice.
Oh, it's
Okay,
really nice. Yeah.
yeah. Blew it up just a little bit. It's probably, I think it's like 125%. Um, I printed out a couple of bag clips, and this one, these I actually want to, I want to put it out there because I was thinking of putting these in the shop. Okay,
Hmm.
and they would be sold in a set of four. So, anyone, anyone who watches this, okay, I'm gonna put a poll in the under the short that I make for this. Okay, if you think you'd be interested in something like this, okay, vote on the poll and let me know. Okay, just say yes or no. Okay, so I know whether or not to add them to the shop. Okay, so you have an alligator bag clip and a shark bag clip. Just curious, you know. And then the coup de grace this week, even though I do have a couple other things currently printing. Okay, is this.
Ooh,
Okay,
very nice.
this is actually a Magic the Gathering deck box.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Installed the magnets, locks in place, super clean. Absolutely love the way it looks. We're gonna get around to painting it sometime during the week, but there you go.
Is that one? Is that one going to go in the shop too?
No, I don't have the license for that one.
Oh,
Wait a minute, where did I get that one from? You know what? That one might go on there because I think I got that from STL Flicks. That one might go on there. Oh, and you know what? I actually forgot about this one.
oh, nice. For the Pokemon guys.
Yeah, and I had to print him twice because
Huh.
uh, when I went to print him the first time, when it got to the rim of his hat, the printer had a stroke. I can't even explain it any other way.
That is true.
It's like it skipped 3 layers, and yeah, I have no
Oh,
idea what
wow.
happened because there's
Hmm.
no supports for him. He was laying flat. The brim goes straight up. I have no idea, what caused it, but legitimately, it was printing fine. I heard like a big, and I look over, and it's three layers at least too high, and just
Oh, wow.
spitting out
Yep.
filament onto.
Just stringing filament everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, that was fun. So
That's another gripe I have about the A1 actually is that it says it has like failed print detection, but it has never worked.
I
I
have
don't know.
the
I don't know what's
both
supposed to set
the
it off.
P1S and the Cheaty are both supposed to have that, and
Hmm.
have not seen that at all. Anytime where if there's a failure and I'm asleep, when I wake up, I've got half a spool of filament all over the place.
Oh yeah, it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the one advantage of having a smaller printer. I can't have that much waste when I fail a print because I can't print that big.
Okay. So speaking of smaller printers, and this is what I'm most excited to talk about this week. Um, and I know you know what I'm going to reference because I told you that we needed to keep our eye out for it. Um, and even though I was working, okay, I had the stream open when they did the price reveal because the price reveal was 30 minutes before the item was supposed to go on sale.
Okay.
Okay, 1 second. All my monitors just reset for some strange reason. It was very weird. Okay,
Okay.
very weird. Okay.
You were a little
Anyway,
choppy for a second, but other than that, everything's fine on my end here.
no, because I don't know, something happened with the prompter too, but anyway, so I'm watching the announcement about the Elegoo Centauri Carbon,
Hmm.
and I'm going to go into details about the printer itself in just a minute, but I'm sitting there and I had said to you that I wanted to get another bamboo printer. Um, even with all the drama and everything, because consistency wise and availability wise, and when it comes to the multi color thing and everything, Like to me, it's a no brainer. But if the deal was good enough on this thing, there's no way I was going to be able to turn it down, and I would change my mind. So I'm watching, and the guy peels off a little sticker over the 99 cents. Okay, and peels off a sticker over the first nine, peels off a sticker over the second nine. He's having trouble with the sticker for the third one. He's trying to you know, talk, think on his feet and talk to fill time because he can't get the sticker off.
Hmm.
And he finally gets the sticker off, but he's not ready to do the reveal. But when he moved the sticker, I could see that the top of the number was curved. Okay, and I'm like, that's not a four because everyone thought it
Hmm.
was going to be 4.99. Okay, which would still
Yum.
be cheaper than the bamboo. Okay,
Yep.
so I'm thinking, oh my god, is that thing 3.99? Because that would be crazy. 3.99.
That
Oh
would have
my
been
god.
nuts.
Okay, now he removes the sticker and it's 2.99. 2.99 for a printer that they're not marketing it against the P1S. They're marketing it against the X1 Carbon. Okay,
Hmm.
and the X1 Carbon sells for $1,100. Okay, so they're selling
Yep.
this thing for $300. Okay, that's a full $300 less than buying another bamboo printer without the AMS system.
Yep.
Now, granted, they are not releasing a multi-material system at launch, and um, I when I saw the price, I was mentally prepared and like, yes, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. So I went ahead and I did all the stuff I have to do to purchase it through Klarna. Okay, and I've got everything ready. And as soon as the thing opened up, I entered it, I got the code, I go through everything, looks fine. I get the message that they've confirmed it, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I just got it. Fantastic. Days go by at this point now. Days go by. And I haven't talked to anyone. I haven't told anyone about it. I'm sitting there waiting for notification as to when it's going to ship. And I have not gotten anything. Now, mind you, at the time when I made the purchase, they had been sending other people notifications that just so that you know, this is a pre-order that you're purchasing. It's not going to be available
Yeah.
till this date. Mine did not say that.
Hmm.
Mine just said confirmed. So I'm under the impression that I got one of the
Huh.
first ones off the line. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, days have gone by. It has not progressed in any way, shape, or form. And I'm thinking to myself, something's not right. So I email customer service and it takes them 2 days to get back to me, which I'm not upset about, but I'm already on edge wanting to know what's going on. And they
Hmm.
tell me that everything's fine with my pre-order and they'll let me know as soon as it's ready. I'm like, pre-order? I did not order a pre-order. I ordered a unit. And they're like, no, it's definitely a pre-order. I'm like, no, nowhere does it say pre-order anywhere in the purchase, in the confirmation email, even on, if I go and look at the order itself, it does not say pre-order in any way, shape, or form. Uh, and so the response I get back is, um, well, I mean, it's a brand new item. It was very popular, this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, okay, I get that. But if I had been informed that I was ordering a pre order, I may not have gone forward with the transaction because I'm still paying for it, even though, it's not arriving. And
Yeah.
that money could go somewhere else. Um, and so they're like, do you want a refund? I'm like, well, out of curiosity, when is it pre ordered for? So she tells me April. And I'm like,
Oh wow.
April. Now, granted, I had been talking to people in chat about theirs that are coming in July. Okay. So, I mean, April's not crazy. It's a little over a month away, but
Yeah.
like, again, I was not given the option. And I expressed that to them. That I was not given the option. I was very disappointed um, about that. And so, they apologized and, they said they would send me 2 rolls of filament with the unit, because of the miscommunication. I was like, I get it. I mean, it's fine. Whatever. I
I
really
get.
want it
I
because
guess.
price
Hmm.
wise, it is legitimately half of what I was going to spend on the other printer.
Yeah, it's a fantastic price for that printer. I mean, unless it's somehow like somebody gets a hold of it to test it and it's like awful, but I don't see that.
I've been
really
watching
happening.
every video that's come out of everyone who's tested it so far, and it's been a juggernaut. I mean, it has been as close to a bamboo clone as you're going to find out there, as far as
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody negatively review it.
because I watch Eminem Droid Shop, and she was using ASA to print droids. Okay,
Hmm.
and she said she had no issues, which that's a very temperamental
Yeah, ASA is
subject,
super challenging to work with.
right? And she said this is the first ASA print she's ever even tried, and they came out
Oh
perfect.
wow.
She also printed out
Yeah,
stuff in PETG and TPU. Uncle Jesse printed out stuff in TPU, PETG, um, what was it? Carbon fiber, PLA, and a few other things. And it has a hardened nozzle, so it can do all of the really expensive stuff, all of the really like
yeah,
tough materials. And because it's fully enclosed, it can also do those. Um, so like I'm really jacked about this thing. Now, granted, they said that the camera is definitely a downgrade from the bamboo. Camera's nowhere
Hmm.
near as good, but I really don't care about the camera. I'm not making all these YouTube time lapse videos. It doesn't. I've yet to
Yeah,
get one that's so mind blowing that I have to. Oh, I've got to post this one.
yep,
Um, but I don't know. I'm super excited about it, but at the same time, I am mildly disappointed about the timing. Um,
yeah. It's a bit of a bummer to have to wait that long.
and patience has never been my strong suit. Okay, never. Uh, but I'm trying to employ it as much as possible. Lately, especially. But I did want to talk about that printer and like some of the specs on it and everything because um, it's such a departure for them from what they had been making. Uh,
Yeah,
let's see. Yeah, see now if you go to their website, it only says pre-order everywhere. Pre-order, pre-order, pre-order.
yep.
Okay.
Everything is just pre-order.
And it says very clearly it'll ship before July 15th. Okay. So it did not say that at the time of
It
purchase.
didn't. Yeah, it does make me curious, like how many they had, or if they had any that were like pre-stocked. I would imagine they wouldn't launch it if it was an entire pre-order thing.
Okay. And something they didn't talk about in any of the videos I've seen so far, they have one that's like the P1P that does not have the sides on it. Okay. It's still a Core XY printer, but it's not fully enclosed. That's only
Yep.
$199.
Yeah, just the Centauri
Yes.
without the carbon. The carbon apparently is the enclosure.
But ever since I used the PETG, I've decided that I'm definitely going to start trying to utilize some of the tougher filaments. Um,
Mm.
I bought some orange uh, TPU. I'm going to make an airless basketball this week. I've decided I'm going to try and print one. Um,
Cool.
so I have the TPU. I'm going to do it in the bamboo printer. I mean, not the bamboo, the Cheetah, and we'll see how that goes. But anyway, some stats on the Centauri Carbon. I have the website up right here. Um, so it's ready to print in under 15 minutes to set up. And so far, every video I've seen has said exactly that, that it is so easy to set up. You remove a couple retaining screws, you remove a couple pieces of tape, and it's pretty much ready to go. Now, granted, there is a 22-minute initial calibration thing that it does for itself, but I mean, technically, it's in print phase at that point, so that doesn't really count against it. Um,
Yeah.
but it's a Core XY printer with 500 millimeters per second velocity, which is nice, depending on the model. It has 20,000 millimeters of acceleration. Uh, let's see, you can use every filament. I mean, that's legitimately what it says on its website. Unleash creativity with every filament. Um,
Yep.
Chamber camera acts as your eyes because you can watch it printing or you can do time lapses. And it has a 256 cubed build volume, which is pretty much the same thing as the bamboo,
Yep. Yeah, it's exactly the same as a bamboo.
but it has the UI on the front of it is a it's an OLED panel with it's got images, and it looks more like the type of interaction that you would see on a resin printer versus what Bamboo has been releasing on some of their FDM printers. So it is kind of nice that you can see what you're going to print versus just getting a verbal description.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you know if it has the ability to cancel by object?
uh, hmm, I
Because it's one thing I hadn't specifically heard, I don't think. That's like one feature that I really wish they would just build in, like almost on a slicer level. I don't know if they could do that necessarily, but it would be nice if that was some software change they could make to just do it
well,
with everything, because
I,
that's such a useful thing.
I would think. Okay, so I know you can print by object and have multiple objects on a single build plate on the Bamboo
Hmm.
printers, and it would be my assumption. Granted, I'm just assuming that that would be, stopping it if one thing's not working but the other one is okay. That you should be able to do, but I've never tried it. Um, Now I kind of want to look it up. That might be
Yeah,
something we're
because
gonna have to talk about next week and see what we can
yeah,
find out about that. Uh,
yeah, because I don't know if Bamboo's. I know for sure the A1's series does not have cancel by object. So if you have a plate of stuff and like they're all copies, if something messes up, you either have to just let it go or you have to cancel the whole plate. Just cancel the print and then
oh, okay,
reset it.
okay, yeah, I was picturing because that's still doing it layer by layer. Um, I with I had learned by watching some videos. Let's say that you had something that was all red and something that was all white and something that was all blue. Okay, and you wanted to print them all on the same plate without doing layer by layer. You can set it up object by object. Okay, as long as they
Hmm.
all fit, you can actually set it up so your printer will print up one object in one color, then go and print up another object in another color, and then print up another object in another color. And then you don't have all the filament waste, which is great. But
Yeah.
um, I don't know about stopping. That's the thing. Like, because
Yeah.
I like to print 40 miniatures all at the same time.
Hmm.
And it would be great if one of them got knocked over and failed to be able to eliminate it from the herd. Because I've let some go all the way, even though one thing is, uh, not printing properly, and it
Hmm.
has made it so there's post processing on some of the surrounding ones, which is kind of
Yeah.
an annoying thing. But
Yeah. Because I think, sorry, I think it was one of the newer Prusa printers that I saw somebody kind of reviewing that they had that. So even if you were printing layer by layer on a bunch of stuff, you could pause it and then pull up basically a view of the build plate on the touchscreen
mhm,
and tell it which objects you wanted to cancel, and it would just stop printing those. So you
that's
could
wild.
cancel all of your failed ones.
I mean, maybe that's why it's $4,000. I don't know.
Probably that might have something to do with it.
Oh my
But I know
god!
you. I just knew you couldn't do it on the A1s, and I was like, I wonder if the P1s or the X1s can do that, because it does seem like the more expensive printers, I see that mentioned as a plus for them.
I know you can't do it on the printer itself. I don't know if you can do it in the software because I haven't tried. But on the printer itself, there it has the smallest UI on the printer. You don't even see pictures. It's literally it's just words. Um,
Yeah.
and I honestly don't know. I forgot about one print that I did this week. It was one of the ones I had posted earlier in the week. The oh wait,
Oh yeah, the shields.
yes, but I had gotten these arrow toothpicks to go into it because it's a toothpick holder. Okay,
Yeah,
but I mean that really finishes the aesthetic. You know,
it really does.
I had painted it. The paint job came out pretty decent.
Yeah, it looks
Uh,
good.
and you're supposed to put toothpicks back here. Okay,
Mm.
but I love the way this looks. Capturing one of my favorite movies. Okay, but yeah, the fact that they
Yeah.
sell toothpicks with arrows or that look like arrows is
Yeah.
just hysterical.
That is pretty cool. I wouldn't have thought of that because I didn't think it would exist.
Yeah, so that I mean that's between that and that skull, those are definitely my two favorite prints this week. Even though I had a lot of really clean prints, um,
Yeah.
but I also had so many frustrations with the Deadpool stuff. Oh my god! I mean, like right now, I'm printing out a Nintendo cartridge storage container, just because I had to get
Oh,
away
okay.
from Deadpool for a while.
You're like, what's a non-Deadpool thing I can print right
Yeah,
now?
'cause everything I printed Deadpool was just cursed this week. Oh, you want to try and print it? Yeah, let just skip over the first one, print it a second time.
Like, we'll mess this one up for you and then come back.
Yes, yes, so much fun.
Oh boy, my top of my lamp is done. Cool.
Yeah, actually, I'm printing out currently on the Cheaty. I'm printing out a it's a Connect Four game, but the pieces spiral down. They're like little spiral balls, and they spiral down into the slots. So it's like the fidget toys that spiral, except
Hmm.
in Connect Four form.
That'll be cool.
Yeah. So um, when the Nintendo thing's done printing, I'm going to use the bamboo to do the color printing because I only have the white PLA in my Cheaty right now, and probably tomorrow I'm gonna try and do the basketball and TPU. I'm super excited just to give that a try. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, granted, without like once it's done with the first print, anything that's left over, if I want to use it, I probably am gonna have to take it out of the machine, put it into the machine for a drying cycle, and then use it again.
Yeah.
Because TPU is supposed to be really water absorbent.
Yep. It's supposed to be, I think, on the high end there with most of the stuff. Yeah. Definitely way worse than PETG or PLA.
All right, so what kind of project are you looking to accomplish this week?
I think this week I might want to take another stab at because I did also try to print that suspended DeLorean art piece that I
Yeah,
talked about last week.
you mentioned that. Yeah.
So I did fire up one of those to try it, and it warped so bad within the first like 10 or 15 layers that I had to just cancel it.
Mm,
So I didn't retry that one. I did go look at the various versions of it because the guy that has the model he has one set up for multicolor and one set up just for a solid color so you can paint.
yeah.
And because I have a hard time painting everything, I was like, maybe I'll try the multicolor and I'll see. So I went ahead and sliced it as the multicolor after I resized it. And I think the multicolor print was estimating me out at over 3 days of print time. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do the solid one and I'm just going to go ahead and paint it.
The Nintendo storage box I'm printing right now is a 1 day, 11-hour print.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure if it's just really solid walls or, or what the case is, but yeah.
Is it is it for a Switch console or is it just for
No,
games?
no. Okay, what I want you to picture is in your head, picture the color of an original Nintendo. Okay, so
Hmm.
it was mostly gray, and then on the side you had those like little black panels that there was a big black panel and then little thin black panels below it, and then on the
Yeah.
front you had the words Nintendo and power and reset buttons on the front, and those were all in
Yep.
red. Okay, well
Yep.
this is a 10 game tower. Okay, and the inserts for the games are cut to the exact shape of the games so that they don't move. Once you put them in there, they stay in there nice and snug. But it looks like a Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's what's going right now. I
I've
will.
seen quite a few models for various things like that.
I did see a Switch dock that looks like an original Nintendo, and you open
Hmm.
up the flap on the front, and it stores Switch games inside the front flap where the Nintendo game would normally slide in. It actually has
Yeah,
tiny little slots for Switch games, which I thought was kind of cool looking. Um, and I almost printed that, and I remembered that I wanted to print this, so this took precedence over it.
took precedence. Yeah,
And then
okay.
once I went to start it and I looked at the time, I'm like, okay, this might be the only Nintendo print of the week because it's
Yeah,
gonna
it's a
take
big
a
one.
hot minute. So
Well, that'll be cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to showing that one off next week.
I definitely want to try and get that DeLorean one done. So if it prints out nice, because I think even the solid color one is super, comparatively speaking, it's really short. I think it's only about 7 or 8 hours.
Hmm.
So I could start that one like before I go to work, and it should be done by the time I get back. But I'm gonna try painting that too. I have paints, I got brushes and stuff. It's just I don't know. I've never felt like I've never painted anything that I liked. Like when I was done with it, I was like, I did a good job. I always paint stuff and I'm like, this looks like ass. I don't know what I did wrong.
Okay. And actually, not specifically because of the painting, but because of aspects of our conversation, I think I want to throw in a segment to do every week where each of us takes a moment to recommend a uh, either a Twitch or a YouTube channel relating to something that um, is in the 3D world that could be helpful to somebody. Okay,
Okay.
so think about it for a moment. I while we were talking, it popped in my head. There's one channel where I watch this guy mainly because he gives out free resin STLs every single month. And even though I haven't printed anything in resin yet, I have several files saved. But on
Yeah.
his channel, he actually walks you through step by step, like how to paint skin so that it has like a rich, like blood filled tone to it. Um, and how to bring out like extra lighting, even if there isn't lighting in the room for certain prints and things like that. Not necessarily the best presenter. I'm not gonna lie, okay, but the name of the channel is called All Things Art, okay, and he
Okay.
mostly paints and advertises resin printers. And if you want to learn how to paint, he's not a bad source for painting models because he does actually some really nice work. So
Okay.
All Things Art on YouTube.
I will check that one out. Yeah, because I learned basically I don't remember who it was now. But I did watch somebody's, and it was a couple of tips, but it was the two kind of main takeaways I took were use black primer because
Mm-hmm.
it helps with shadows a lot. And then uh the basics of like the dry brush technique to add highlights and stuff, which I had never, I mean, I'd never heard of it. So I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that that's how a lot of those highlight details got added to stuff. But so I know the basics of that. So hopefully between that and I'll look up that all things art. I'll take a stab at printing something. It should be relatively beginner friendly too, because it's all supposed to be mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not really detailed, it would still probably turn out pretty good. Because the frame of it, I think, has like some pulleys and like gears and little belts and stuff. Because it's like a decorative frame
Right.
that looks all mechanical and stuff. And then the DeLorean, it's a car.
All right. And
Not a lot of organic shapes or anything.
so, have you thought of a website that you would like to point people to, or not a website, but a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel?
Actually, for just kind of general, like shorter form little helper videos. Oh, actually, I have to look it up now because he changed the name of the channel.
Oh no!
Yeah, I
That's
remember I
when
saw it
people
like
are constantly changing the names of their stuff.
I saw it last week. I saw like a little shorty put out. He was changing it. It used to be called Bam Bam Print.
Oh, I know Bam Bam Print.
Yeah, he changed the name, and I don't know. Stupid Chrome. Get out of here. Forgot I'm not signed into Google services at all on Chrome, so look up YouTube on Edge. Yeah, because he puts out so many videos that are really short, but they're super to the point. A lot of them are pretty helpful. I have to scroll through just real quick and look for the one that I didn't subscribe to. Oh, he is now Planet 3DP. So he has a pretty good YouTube channel. He does a lot of stuff with Bamboo Studio and Bamboo printers, and he has a lot of helpful stuff on slicer settings, and kind of the basics on when you would use some of those the options, kind of like just little things on like what variable layer height is, when you should use that. Um, Little tips to like save the filament, like the flushing volumes,
Right.
if you're doing multicolor prints. And he has a few little things too on how to take like AI generated images and convert those into a 3D model of some sort to print.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether you want to do like placards or logos, or I think he even did a couple of videos about that. It's a newer tool on Maker World where they'll take an image and generate a 3D model from it.
Yes.
So he has a bunch of examples of like how successful it is. It's not always 100% great, but he kind of goes through and shows, like this one turned out really good, and then he has others. It's like, well, it didn't really realize that this was a tail for some reason, so it's missing a tail, even though it's in the first image. Like I think he had one with his dragon that was curled up and the tail was like wrapped around to its nose. But then in the 3D model, like it didn't, for whatever reason, interpret that as a tail. So it just didn't have a tail on it.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, for just using AI and it being a free tool, it actually does have some pretty good results on stuff. So I've actually been meaning to try it on a couple things just to see what kind of results I get. Because I've noticed that there's a lack of some models that I would like to do, especially XCOM stuff. There's no XCOM figurines or anything, but I can get images very easily of like their ships, like the Avenger and the what do they call that one, the Sky Ranger and stuff.
Yeah.
But nobody has models of those up. I'm wondering if I could plug that into their model generator just from a still from the game and have it create something.
Yeah, my brother wants me to print out a sliver from Magic the Gathering. So I'm probably going to have to take a 2D image and make a model out of that.
I think he did. He had some pretty detailed like little monsters on that one that didn't turn out bad. It works better. I think his conclusion was if you can find something that's a 3/4 angle instead of head on, it does a much better job at trying to generate the backside. Because anything that was a picture of something straight on, it had way more like weird artifacts or just blank planes. Like he did his daughter picked out a barn and they put that in there, and for some reason it did not think that there were walls on the back of it. So it was just like a floating structure that the front facade was done. And then it generated the roof back pretty good, but it didn't have any rear walls.
Okay. All right. So Planet 3DP. Got it. YouTube.
Yep.
28.9 thousand subscribers, 62 videos posted. Cool. All right. I wish I could tell you that I had a ton of stuff to talk about this week, but I really don't because I wanted to talk about the Centauri, or the Elegoo, I should say. Oh wait, I just got an update. Let me see.
Oh boy.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. The update is just them letting me know that since it seems like my issue is handled, they're closing the ticket.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We gave you 2 free rolls of filament later, so you're fine.
Yeah, I guess.
It works. I went ahead while you were talking about that actually and pulled up Bamboo's website just to see if they had maybe changed any prices to sort of compete, but they haven't. So I'm curious to see if they will.
They probably made their stuff more expensive.
Because it's like for that price, especially if you don't get the carbon, like if you just want the unenclosed Centauri,
Yeah.
yeah, like $299. That's, I mean, that's cheaper than the
No, that's
A1.
199.
Is it 190? Oh
It's
yeah, it's 190.
199 for the one without the enclosure.
Yeah, so they're
So
competing
like
kind of
if you
directly.
wanted to go XY, you have one
Oh
that's only 199.
yeah,
I mean,
which
that's
I have heavily considered. Yes, that might just be because my first idea was I was still kicking around the possibly seeing if I could find a reasonable offer for my mini locally and
yeah.
then upgrading to the A1. So that would be my standard size printer since I already bought uh, the AMS Lite and it only works with the A1 series printers.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be able to pull that over onto like a P1.
Unless of
So
course
if
you
I,
could sell your combo unit and turn around and just not do multicolor for a little while until the multicolor comes out for one of these, you know. But
yeah,
for 299, depending how much you can get for your combo, you could move into a full enclosure, or you get the one that's a partial enclosure and print an enclosure for it, like people have done with the P1Ps before.
yeah,
Like people made Borg Borg enclosures for the P1P and other
yeah,
stuff
those are
like that.
really cool.
So, but I mean,
That was
199.
actually, yeah, that was exactly what I was thinking of doing. Actually, was doing the Borg style printed enclosure for a P1P because I was like, well, I kept kicking around like, do I really? I think anything that I really would want to print out of like ABS or something, where I would want the extra features of the P1S enclosure that you don't get with the printed version, which is like the filtration and the fans. That's the only thing I'd really want it for is ABS. But I don't think of anything in ABS that I would want to print that I could probably fit even on a 256 build plate. Because my mind first goes to printable accessories for firearms and stuff. But if I wanted to do that, I would need something even bigger.
Mm.
So then it's like, well, for a 256 cubed printer, then I wouldn't really care about having ABS or ABS printing capability. So in that case, why not just save the money and get the unenclosed one and print my panels to enclose it so I don't have the draft issue, but I wouldn't need the filtration system because again, it would just be a PLA machine
Oh
and
yeah,
occasionally PETG. But with the Centauri Carbon being that cheap, it's like I don't know. I don't think I think maybe I'll just hang on to my mini and then I have my multicolor smaller printer and then possibly just grab that whenever it's closer to availability. I don't know if I want to
well yeah. I mean,
pre-order it necessarily.
if you were to set a little bit of money aside here and there, and then come
Hmm.
like after July 15th, once everyone's gotten their pre-orders and see what's in stock, you could probably
Yeah.
have it saved up by then to be able to get
Oh
it.
yeah.
And by then, I mean, they did say either the end of quarter two or quarter three this year, they're going to be releasing their multicolor for this thing. Okay.
Oh,
So,
that'd be cool.
um, you know, at that point, Bamboo's going to be hard pressed to come out with something that's super expensive.
Yeah, they're gonna have to come out with. They're gonna have to put out whatever that bigger printer is they've been supposedly sitting on or developing.
Well,
I
I
don't know.
mean, there's all
I've
kinds of
heard so
rumors that
many.
it's done. Um,
Yeah.
but when the K2 came out, I don't know if it like made them think twice about releasing it right now or what, but
Or I almost wonder if some of those printers that have come out that are competitors, they've seen the pricing on them and they're not sure. Like, I'm sure they had a price that they already had in mind, but it's a lot easier to set that price when you don't have a direct competitor. When you have somebody that has a similar offering, it's like, okay, now we really do have to consider, can we price it the way we wanted to, or are we just going to kind of get ridiculed for it and not make any sales?
yeah, right. I mean, like, because the one I just mentioned, the Creality K2, um,
Yeah, I looked at those. I also looked at that, which one was it? The bigger one that they have, the K3 Max or whatever. They're sold out now, of course. But I was kind of looking at one of those, considering getting that for a big one.
Well, the K2 Max, um, with the combo unit is 1,500, and that one's a
Mhm.
350 cubed build plate.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think the bigger one is called the K2 Max, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think the Max is it's either the Max or the Pro. I forget which one's the bigger. I think Max. But yeah, Bamboo. I think the only thing that's keeping Bamboo from discounting some of their stuff right now is the fact that the Centauri is pre-order.
Mhm.
Once they're actually released and you can go buy them, I would be shocked if they don't have to drop some of their prices. Because right now the A1, which is still a bed slinger, um, but it's the closest thing that they have to that price point
Mhm.
that's that size, and it's still $360.
Yeah, the K1 Max. It's not the K2 Max. K1 Max.
Hmm.
No, that can't be right. That one's only a 300 by 300. I'm trying to see where is. I know they have a bigger one that's enclosed, but that's not it. Maybe it is the plus that's 350. I could have sworn they had a 400. Maybe not.
That
Um,
might be, or is that a Neptune? Is that I might be thinking of a different brand as well.
Neptune is a bed slinger from Elegoo.
Yeah, I was looking at those because it was like the price is really good and the size is awesome, but I was also wanting to not have another bed slinger. I was really wanting to go Core XY for my next one, but it was tempting because they're cheap. I was like, I could just do it. But yeah,
Yeah,
when they have a multicolor for the Centauris, I think that might be kind of a no-brainer to go to.
I'm starting to worry about whether or not they canceled the multicolor on the Cheaty because, like, their big. It even says on the website still to today that the multicolor unit that they're going to have is coming out quarter 1, and that was the main reason I was willing to wait on that printer, like get it to start using it, but you know, end up
Mm.
getting the multicolor for it was that it was going to have multicolor by the end of quarter 1, but we're getting to the end of quarter 1 and there's been no announcement.
I still got another month though. Who knows? Hopefully, it's not that they're going to announce by the end of quarter 1 and then they're going to announce that it's not out yet, but they have a release date. It's going to be like end of quarter 2 or something.
Yeah,
But we will see. Yeah, because I see that. Well, they did. Okay, so I don't know if this is maybe in response to the Centauri, but the A1 Mini is now 219 instead of 299.
but you can buy a Core XY that's 199. That's, I mean,
Yeah, but that's a significant discount for it, but it's also much smaller, and it's not a Core XY.
and like I don't understand the I don't understand all of the limitations of certain printers. But one of the things I saw in the first couple of videos for this the Centauri that people were mentioning that um, it can build to the full height of 256 where the Bamboo can't. I'm like, what does that mean? Because the Bamboo says that it can go to 256, but like it's so weird. It was something that a couple of people like Uncle Jesse and the 3D printing nerd and one other person, I forget who, said that it can print all the way to 256, which the Bamboo can't. I'm like, well, if it can't, then why is 256 listed as the build area? I don't
Yeah, I'm not
understand.
sure about that because I've seen other people mention that too. That it's I've never tried to print anything that is like 180 millimeters exactly tall,
Mm-hmm.
but I wonder if that's also true for the A1 printers because I don't think it goes to the full 256, but it's super close. It's within like a millimeter or something. I
Right.
think it has that much travel, and that's why they're saying that it's that build volume, but it doesn't actually print an item that measures that tall.
Yeah. See, the P1P right now is on sale for 519.
It's like $80 off.
but they don't list a combo for it, and the AMS by itself is $300.
Yeah.
So it's still $800 for the combo.
Hmm. Yeah, and the fact that they took away because they did for a long time have a $50 discount if you bought it as a combo, and then they pulled that off the P1s, and you only get that now on the X ones
Well, now with the let's see, the P1S, the
or P1.
P1S,
Yeah, P1S has a combo, I think.
yeah, the P1S, it's 629, which is $110 more than the P1P, right? But if you buy the combo for that one, it's only $10 more for the P1S with the full enclosure than it is for the P1P when you add on the AMS.
Yeah,
And that's why I was considering getting a second one, you know. But with these prices on the other one, it's like there's just no way you can do that.
yeah, yeah. It's real hard to justify that cost now that
Because
it's like, hey,
I can buy two of them and still not even spend that much.
yeah, and it's like it's not like they're from a company that doesn't have an established track record where you could say, well, what if they don't end up getting their multi-material system online? It's like, well, this is not a brand new startup or something. This is just another printer from a very established company,
Mm-hmm.
which also kind of gives them a lot of street credit though for the quality as well. They've been around, so it's not an unknown brand that you're dealing with at all. They know
Right.
how to make printers and they know how to do software. So there's no reason to think that the reviewers are just kind of gaslighting you or anything like that. It's like it's a it's a real big discount for basically, I mean, as far as I can tell, just comparing spec sheets, it looks like just as good of a printer as the P1.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen direct comparisons, and outside of like the comparison with the camera and maybe the lighting, for the most part, the people who have been making the ones who already have their units, okay, have been giving nothing but praise to it.
Yeah. Well, as far as I've heard, and there are a lot of people that complain about the lighting in the P1s as well being pretty lackluster. The P1S.
Well, I can tell you it is.
Yeah.
I, I printed out the um, an AMS riser and for the top of mine, and underneath I ran a Govee light strip to shine light down whenever I
Mm.
want to do like a really good time lapse.
Oh, that was another thing actually I was thinking about doing for myself for the backdrop here is printing out hexagon shaped like Govee strip holders, like just like a border for them. So I
Oh
could pin that up and then just thread it into them.
yeah, yeah. Like if you planned out a shape and then you printed out the actual frame, sure.
Yeah. Instead of trying to freehand it and like stick it up on the wall and stuff.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, I might actually snag that enclosure and see what I can get done with that. See if that solves a lot of the warping issues because I still have not put anything up for sale just because I'm not having successful print times. So it's like I feel like this is not a good time to be putting things up that I'm going to print for sale when I can't even get my little experimental pieces printed out.
I definitely get that. Um, I don't know. I may have to. I was trying to avoid it, but I might end up having to open up like an Etsy shop with my stuff because
Mm.
even though I've gotten traction on the website as far as people visiting it, I have not gotten a single sale so far.
Yeah, I guess I didn't. I'd only heard of STL Flicks as a place to get models from.
Mhm.
Like if you were a 3D printer, you can get models. I didn't realize they even had a storefront where you could sell 3D printed goods. I just thought it was for people to post up 3D models, and then for other printers to get them from there.
Well, because it's a membership service, um, they part of the thing to get people to utilize it is offering up full commercial licensing for everything that's on there.
Yeah. I know I haven't clicked on any of them, but I have seen several videos of people talking about moving their shops from Etsy to another platform, but I don't know what it is that they're talking about. Because they'll be like, Etsy was great, but now I'm moving on. And it's like, okay, well,
Moving on.
I haven't, I've only made my business name, I think, is the only thing that I've really solidified on my Etsy shop.
The thing that's really funny is if you look at the book nooks that I'm selling, and then look at them on Etsy, I'm selling them for like half the price they are on Etsy.
Oh, wow.
Because
You could mark them up on Etsy.
well, apparently, because I've seen them on there as high as like $45,
Damn.
and I'm definitely not charging that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try Etsy to start with just because I know it has a ton of traffic. So I'll give it a shot. As soon as I have some confidence that I can fire up a print and I don't have to babysit it and restart it 6 or 7 times.
Makes
Because I
sense.
think for my two successful like lamp panels, I tried 3 other times to print them, and I was trying to print them because I can fit 2 of them on the plate. So I was trying to just print 2 of them so I could do 2 plates. And it failed 3 times. So I have 6 of them. They're all warped. All the corners were warped. So it was like, well, I have all those in the trash. And then I finally, when I decided today, when it was warmer, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try and print 1 panel. I'm going to delete the other one off of the plate. I'm just going to fire this one up and just see if it warps. And I've played with the bed temps too, and I can't really tell that that's making any kind of a difference. Because I know I think even bamboo filaments recommend 60 as a max temp for the bed plate. But
Yeah.
every textured PEI plate, if you enter that in any of the Bamboo Labs presets, it always sets it to 65. And I've noticed also that it doesn't seem to take the custom values when you enter them. It's another like weird issue. I don't know if it's just me or if it's a Bamboo Studio thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll try and edit the bed plate temperatures for filaments in there and it takes it. But then whenever I actually print it and I go pull up the device tab, it'll still tell me that it's still at 65 degrees. Because I think the original print profile for this lamp had set at 55, but I don't know if they were using a textured plate or not. But it says it accepts it, and you go into the options in Bamboo Studio, and it says like, oh yeah, this filament profile was changed to use 55 degrees or whatever, and asks you if you want to keep that. I told it to go ahead and keep it, and then I sent that to print. But then when I look at the device tab, it's like, oh yeah, it's a 65. That's what it's heated to. So I'm like, well, what is it? Like, it's nice that you can change those presets, but I don't know why it doesn't actually use them.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. I'm trying to plan out my next like 3 prints that are not Deadpool related. Uh, my next 3 non-failures. Let me put it that way.
But you got to print Deadpool. Your next one is successful though, right? You're 1 for 2.
Yeah, when I go to print the upper torso, it should print out fine. But when I go to do the legs, I have to.
Oh yeah, yeah. I still gotta do legs.
Yeah, I'm hoping by the next episode that I would have a finished one to show. I was trying to get it done before this one, but it was not in the cards. It was definitely and
Yeah, I
having
know that feeling.
having to reprint the 3D panel sculpture of of Deadpool was not something I planned either because I was so happy with it, and I just had
Yeah,
to go and get cute in the way I was holding it. Uh, I did one for the Hulk too, but it's all in white. I don't really like it in white. I'm gonna end up having to paint it now.
Hmm. I also have this I don't know if I showed this Forge off before in one of our other episodes. But I remember finding it, and I kind of liked it because it was the only example so far I have of a hue forge of something that has a lot of mist in the image. And this one turned out relatively good. It's still a little bit muddy, and like kind of up here in this gradient and a little bit like in the bottom.
Hmm.
But a lot of times, yeah, it's like images that have any kind of interference like that, like any kind of fog or cloudiness, they turn out really muddy. Like it
Yeah,
wants to paint that color on top of everything. But
I
that
know.
was my good example. And then I also did a lithophane of it, but the lithophane's pretty bad. I feel like it didn't really, and I used the Maker World lithophane thing too, but it doesn't look good. It's really thick. Even the areas that should be relatively bright are super dark.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what went on with that one. I feel like my wife has better luck with the lithophanes almost. Like she does the simple ones. She doesn't do colored ones. But every time that she's printed one out, they look pretty good. And then I try and do all this stuff with the colored ones, and it's like, huh, it looks great in the preview, and then I'll go like print it out, and it's like, damn, this didn't turn out good. I had one where the printer got confused and it printed my diffusion layer in magenta instead of white.
Oh no.
That was an interesting one. Yeah. I was like, why is this just all magenta on top?
Yeah, I wanted to print. I tried to print an invincible uh Qforge that someone had put on Maker World, and when I put it into when I actually put it into the slicer, it was one color, and I looked at the picture of what they printed, and it was multicolor. So I was thinking that the it's set up for multicolor. I just can't change anything because
Hmm.
that happened with one of the other ones I printed. But um, when I looked at their print, the colors all kind of ran together, and I really hated the way it looked. Okay, if you look at the QForge image itself, that looks amazing. But then if you look at the print that they made, it looked like such garbage. I had already downloaded it, and I immediately just took it off my build plate because I'm like, no, I'm not going to print this. That's how I ended up getting the backpack sign because yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know. I wanted to do something invincible, but it was not going to be good if I had tried to go with what he made.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of people will put up their hue forges on Maker World and stuff, and they use their source image as the first picture. So whenever you look at it, you're like, oh wow,
I like
that
the
looks
ones that use the
fantastic.
AI image as their source image.
Oh,
It's like, wow, that thing printed up so clean.
yeah, and you
Why
go
is it
look
in
in like
space?
picture 2 and picture 3, you're like, oh, that's not good.
Well, that's another thing. Like, um, when you look at some of the files people come up with, you're like, oh, I like that. I like the way that looks. But you look at how their print came out. It's so bad. Ugh, sorry for yawning, but I mean, it's so bad. The quality and like I wonder what they're using because when I go and print the same thing, it doesn't come out looking as bad as that. And
Yeah.
I usually don't change settings if it's like a 3MF file because
Hmm.
it should be set up and ready to go if it's a 3MF file. So I just keep it the way it is. But when you look at their prints, a lot of them are really rough or um, they post pictures of stringing and all kinds of imperfections, and it's like
Yeah.
maybe we should have just reprinted another one that came out cleaner or uh,
Or do a little bit like HueForge. I feel like if you need to post process, it's pretty simple. It's usually just a few strings. And it's like that's really easy to take off, and then just post it after you've done that. Yeah, I went through and I have a custom HueForge printing profile I built. So I use that for. I typically don't even use the print profiles that people post of theirs.
mhm,
I'll take their model, and then after it's loaded in, then I change it back to the preset back to my HueForge one that I made,
right.
and I print it out with that. because I was like, I think I started on the 0.08 millimeter like fine quality preset, and then I went to the wiki, and they have a bunch of screenshots of recommended setting changes, and then I just went through all the screenshots and changed all of the settings that they had changed to match their numbers,
That's cool.
and saved it as a saved that as a copy. I just put on there. It's like, yep, just want to save this as a user preset, and then I just left it as the same name. I just put a dash HueForge on the end of it, so I know for sure that's all of the HueForge settings that they recommend.
That's something I have to do at some point is to actually stop, take the time, and work on HueForge because I love the way some of them are designed, and I
Mhm.
love printing. I I almost enjoy printing the flat stuff as much as printing the 3D stuff.
Yeah, me too. Actually, what I've been kind of itching to do lately is to take small stuff and make it big, which is why I'm getting more frustrated with my small print
I
because I
can
can't make it as big as I
I
want.
can understand that. Yeah.
Keep going. Should have just got that A1. Should have just got the
I
A1.
tried. I tried. You refused.
I know. I'll have a bigger printer at some point. It's hard not to just go buy one because I technically have the money to do it, but I also have to pay the IRS at some point here pretty quick.
Now you're better off waiting because I honestly think that um, if it's the size of the A1 you're thinking that you want, okay, then you're better off just waiting for the Elegoo to be available
Yeah.
because you're gonna spend around the same money but get a like fully fleshed out machine versus just and it's not that there's anything wrong with Bamboo's bed slingers, but you know I all I hear is how people are switching the ones who have been doing bed slinging for a long time. Once they start doing Core XY or Delta printing, they don't want to go back to using bed slingers unless they have a 3D print
Yeah.
farm. And
Or if they have something that, if you have like the bigger bed slingers
right,
and it's like, well, the big build volume, then that's the draw of that printer. It's like, I'll
right.
put up with the fact that it's a bed slinger because I have all this, an extra 120 millimeters of build volume,
Hmm. But I
which
mean,
is the only reason I was looking at those, like the bigger ones too, is it was like, but it's, it's big though. And I do, at some point, I want to have one standard size printer and one large volume printer.
right.
And the large one, I don't necessarily care about the multicolor as much,
Hmm.
just because I don't know. I think the price on finding something that has a big build volume that also has multicolor is probably going to be more than I want to spend. But in that case, I might go ahead and settle for one of those like big Neptune Max machines or something it'll be a bed slinger, but I think the huge volume will make it worth it. And then, especially with with the price on the Elegoo machine being what it is, that might end up being my main like standard size printer with multi-material on it.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't argue with it right now. I was so stunned when I saw the price. Like I was
Yeah.
because there I was doing other things and I legitimately had to turn around and tell everyone you need to wait because I have to get this done. Like
To get this to,
because
when
I knew it was gonna be a blitz.
yeah, like when I first saw it, when I first like, because I looked it up, I was curious. I remember I was like, oh yeah, I was like, they were supposed to announce the price on that, and I was because for some reason in my mind I thought they were going to undercut the X1.
Hmm.
So I was like, I'm probably not going to buy it, because it's going to be really pricey. But I was like, I should just check anyway. And when I saw it, then for a minute, I was like, did they make like multiple sizes? Am I looking at the price for like a small one or something?
I
But no,
mean,
yeah, it was shockingly low priced.
and I thought when I first saw it because it looks like a P1S. Okay, I thought that they were going to market it against the P1S, but everything I've
Yeah.
read, they're marketing it because of its printing capabilities with the types of filament against the X1 carbon,
Hmm.
which I mean, you can't argue for an X1 carbon when you can spend $300 and get basically the same printer.
Yeah. It makes it that
I mean, it doesn't
yeah.
have lidar. Okay, but you shouldn't have to spend you know $900 to get lidar,
Yeah,
or I should say $900 more.
exactly. Yeah, it's like a lot of the whole branding, like even the styling of it, I feel like is definitely leveled straight at it being the competitor to the X1 Carbon. So it was very surprised that they priced it that low. When it was like, hey, not only are we going to really beat the price on the X1 Carbon, we're going to beat the price on the P1S and the P1P. And hey, look, we're even cheaper than the A1. You
Yeah, I
know,
know. I was almost to the point where I couldn't react because it was so cheap. I thought I was being cheap when I was thinking that it was going to be like 450. You know.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Because I remember thinking when I was looking at the product page for it, and I was like, I'm going to assume like it's going to be a 599 or a 499 probably.
mhm.
Especially the way everything, even them calling it the Centauri Carbon, I was like, this is going to be their X1 Carbon competitor. So those are priced so high they got a lot of room they could undercut, but I was like, I did not see them coming in under the price of the P1s at all.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Pleasantly surprised.
and it's not just that it's so similar, but when you hear how happy everyone is with the print quality, that's the thing that
Yeah.
really stunned me because like any Cubic came out with the Cobra series, um, with their multi material, and it was a good price for all. It was like 399 or something for the bed slinger with multi material. It's like, wow, that's a really good price for that. And I honestly considered getting it, and then every video was trashing it, just
Yeah.
bed adhesion issues, artifacting, skipping layers, layer shifting, all kinds
Yeah,
of stuff.
I saw a lot of layer shift complaints too, and that was the big thing. I was like, ooh, even if the other stuff is possibly like user error or you could fix with a different bed plate or something, I was like, that layer shift is that sucks.
Yeah.
That will ruin pretty much anything unless you decide you only want to print stuff that you're going to go ahead and like sand down and completely finish. It's like, but I don't like doing that either. It's like I don't want to have to spend hours and hours post processing my prints. At that point, then it is worth it to me to spend more money on my printer so that I get a better product to start with.
Well, I mean, also like if I had if I had the time and a space specifically set aside to do post processing in my garage, I'd be far more into the thought of it than I am
Hmm.
currently, simply because most of what I do is in the office. So unless I
Yeah.
can come up with, like if I wanted to do a grommet hole in my desk with a vacuum attached to the bottom of it, so that I can sand directly into the hole, that maybe something like that. But outside of that, I mean, it really, I try and get the prints as perfect as possible so I don't have to do stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a big selling point for better quality printers in the first place.
I agree.
Is like, hey, you don't post process this.
Hmm.
You if you want to, if anything, you're just gonna print it out in one color and you're gonna prime it and paint it, and then you're good to go. But you don't have to sit there and sand this down. You don't have to take out imperfections, and you don't have to torch off a bunch of string. I mean, torching off strings is pretty simple too, but just like yeah, the whole sanding things to get rid of rough layer lines and layer shifts and stuff. That's where most of your time's wasted. And if it's bad enough, you might not be able to sand it all the way out. You might have to sand it down and then use filler on it and then wait for that to cure and sand that down. It's like that's way too much work.
Yeah, when I watch people who are prepping helmets, like Mandalorian helmets
Mhm.
and stuff, they're trying to get that metallic finish. And so they're sanding the piece down, then they're using filler, then they're sanding that down, then they're using more filler, then they're wet sanding, then it has to
Yeah.
dry, then they're painting it, then they're sanding that a little bit and doing more coats of paint. And it's like, oh
Yeah.
wow, ugh,
And yeah, like I've seen people do an armor and it's like they're using that build up primer and specifically lays in really thick so that you can sand it back down a little bit so you have a smoother finish in the end. And it's like, man, That's a lot of work. It's so much more work. Like the actual at that point, the printing process is just like trivial almost. Like
Right.
it's only taking, yeah, they print, they spent 7 hours printing that piece out, but then they spent another 20 hours getting it ready for paint, and then they paint it. And it's like, damn. And especially if you're printing out pieces like that that fit together, so you have something that you had to print in pieces and then put it together.
Mhm.
If they don't fit perfectly well either, you're also modifying it so that they fit right.
Yes.
And then taking out all of the imperfections and doing all that stuff. And it is a lot of work. I have a lot of respect for people that can do that kind of work. But for me, it would be too frustrating and I wouldn't want to do it.
That's definitely something that I feel like if you're a YouTuber trying to cultivate a channel, you have to do that kind of work
Mm,
because you have to be able to show people how to do it. You have to show that it's worth doing. You have the time to
yep.
do it. Okay. Um, for the rest of us who are not currently, full time YouTubers, it's like, can we please just avoid as many layer lines as possible? Like,
Yeah.
that's most of my prints. I'm printing in matte, so I can avoid as many layer lines as physically
Mm,
possible.
yeah. That's one thing I wish I would have known before I bought so much non matte PLA.
I mean, just as an example, okay, we'll grab the gladiator mask. Okay, it is so remarkably clean. There are
Hmm.
you can't even feel layer lines on this. I forget about seeing them. You can't feel anything on this. Okay, other than where's there's an imperfection in this eye. Okay, just a tiny little imperfection. Other than that, it is so unreal. And it printed without supports, by the way. Okay,
Nice.
it printed upside down like this, no supports, and it
Wow.
was like it looks like it was carved out of something. I honestly can't wait to see what it looks like when I hit it up with the gold paint, which I will not be using filler primer, uh, and I will not be doing tons and tons of sanding. I'm just gonna, set it up and hit it up and see what comes out.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed on that and your Magic the Gathering one, that deck
Oh,
holder, that's super clean too.
I was looking back and watching this while it was printing, and I mean, look at where the gums are, and it extends out from the tooth. Okay,
Hmm.
there's nothing to indicate, layers, and then all
Yeah,
of the piping. Okay,
yeah. The detail work is super clean.
yeah, and it actually fits better if I didn't have the magnets in. Okay, because they're not flush, and I
Oh
could,
yeah, they push it off a little bit.
yeah, I could like heat press them in there, but that's another thing I've not, dove into either. You know, there's a little bit of a line, but I can live with it. I mean, the back of it, look at this. So there,
Yeah.
just wild.
Was that one? Did you do that one on your cheaty or on
That's
the
on the
bamboo?
cheaty, yeah. Anything that is 100% white matte PLA, just know is on the cheaty.
Okay.
Uh, uh, with the bamboo, I do use matte white also, but I use that mostly for multicolor. Um,
Hmm.
there's very little that I print out unless it's something where it prints out a bunch of parts, where the anything is just a solid color. And I do have some marble filament that I want to use on the cheaty.
Oh,
I have yet to use. So actually, I probably should have done the checkerboard in a marble. That would have been, or the Connect Four
yeah.
in a marble.
Yeah, I think that would lend itself well to marble.
Oh well, I'll figure something out with it.
Yeah, it's a problem for another time.
Yes. All right, I'm tapped out with conversation pieces for this week. Is there anything that you wanted to tackle, or
Uh, Not really. The only big thing I had kind of going forward here was, I think, really trying to do the enclosure
Mm.
against the advice of Bamboo Labs, enclosing my printer.
Well, I mean, I think you have to,
Hmm.
unless you wanted to print up, um, like print up a frame and then do the Borg enclosure for yourself. Okay, which that might look pretty wild too if you actually
Yeah,
printed up
my
holes.
yeah.
Okay, and then printed out the enclosure.
See,
Uh-huh.
the only problem with trying to print an enclosure for that printer on it is
It,
because it has to circle the whole printer.
uh-huh.
I have to print everything in like a bunch of pieces, and it would
Yes,
have to be all glued together
yes, I'm
because it's
aware.
going to be taller than the printer is. It's going to be much wider than the printer is.
It has to allow for the backward and forward slide.
Yeah, I got to have enough motion for that.
Mhm.
It's like that's the one big drawback of enclosing that thing is. So I was thinking about that when I was actually looking at boxes that I had. I was like, do I have any cardboard boxes that I could just like make a quick and dirty one and just kind of wrap it around it? And I didn't have anything big enough because it's like I'd had a few that were close to big enough, but then I don't have anything that would allow the full travel of the bed.
Mm.
It's like now when I take into account that it has to move that far, I don't have anything big enough. I could put like a dam in front of one side of it, but I don't know that that would be a worthwhile experiment to just put a single side enclosure on it. Like it needs to be something that's going to at least trap a little bit of that heat in there.
No, I think that's one of the advantages to what I sent you. Not necessarily
Hmm.
that one per se, but a lot of them have those um, the thermal insulated sides to it, so
Yeah,
heat won't escape
and they
because
have a top.
yeah, and it's a zipper shut, so it's not like a breeze is going to make it flap or anything like that. It's going to stay shut once you shut it.
Yeah, yep. That's my next big try is going to be that because that's the only reason that I could think of that is logical that makes sense as to why I'm getting the super intermittent warping is just the fact that it's like, well, what are the odds that it would all of a sudden spike up to the point where I almost couldn't print anything this week without it warping, and it was really cold all week. That's the only real like main throughput, and everything that I've had since then. Like we had in Colorado a very unseasonably warm November and December. Actually, November, December were both really warm until about Christmas time, which is when I started having this problem in the first place.
Right.
Because the first 3 weeks were great, and then it started going bad. But it also was right around the time that we had our cold snap in December. So before then, it was like, I mean, we were sitting here, it was like 50 degrees outside. So it's not like we had the heat on a whole lot, and it wasn't getting cold drafts necessarily from the window. But I think the sub-zero temperatures is just enough. It's getting cold drafts, I think, from the windows because it's an old house, and then when the heat kicks on, it's getting cold on one side and it's getting hot air from the furnace on the other side. And it also is noticeably worse when I print something larger, I think because it's further towards the edge of the print bed. So there's not as much like residual heat from the build plate that's like
On
kind of
the
keeping it warm.
Yeah, on the outside of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like almost more exposed to more cold that way.
Right. And because the build plate's so small, I mean,
Yeah.
uh, you print out a quarter, and it's going to be pretty close to the edges.
And a lot of the stuff that I make is close to the edges because I have to resize it to fit on there anyways. It's like I got tired of trying to find stuff that fit. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna find stuff that's cool. I'm gonna make it fit. I'm
What's
just gonna size
funny
it
is like a lot of the stuff I pull off of Maker World, the person designed to go on the A1 Mini.
down. Hmm.
So when I put it when I go to put it in the slicer, it's taking up like so much of the print plate. And I'm always like, man, I don't in my head I didn't picture it being this big. And then I remember I've got to change the printer in the top left corner. And if
Oh
I
yeah, because
change it to the P1S, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, it fits much better now. Like,
yeah, you're like, there it is, there. Or like a lot of stuff that I find too, it's like it's too close to the prime tower, you're gonna have collisions. It's like, oh god.
Well,
I gotta make it even smaller.
that's one of the issues with trying to print object by object is they have these fields that allow
Yeah,
for
they're really big.
the movement of the head, um, which that makes it very difficult to do something like
Yeah, especially on my little 180 millimeter one. That is
it. Just
because I
makes
did.
it makes you want to get an Orange Storm Giga just so you can print
It does.
everything at one time.
Or that one. I don't remember which one it was either because I remember I looked at it and it was too expensive. I wasn't going to buy it, but it's one that has a 500 by 500 by 500 build volume, and I was like, man, that would be cool.
That's crazy.
So I was looking at the size, like somebody printed it was like um, a Mario block, like one of the little coin blocks with the question mark on it.
Uh huh.
But they printed it to the full size of the build volume.
Oh my
It
god,
was huge. I was
that
like, that would be cool.
that's a lot of filament.
Yeah. But yeah, the only things I've tried the print by object, and the only things that I was able to make it work with were these little katana blades are separate from the base for Deadpool, my brick Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted those silver, so I printed them in silver. And then the eye inserts for his mask, like so they didn't want to design it so that you had to have an AMS to print it.
Yeah.
So for his head, it's all red, and then the little black like eye pieces. Oh no, I gestured. It took my gesture. There we go.
Oh, as you zoom
It was
in.
like zoom in. There we go. But yeah, the
Oh
little
my
like
god.
black eye pieces on his mask were inserts, and then the whites of his eyes were also inserts. So they would all print separately and you glue them together. Well, I printed the eyes as well on the same plate as the katana blades because I had like all the black grouped together and it printed out in one go. And then most of the other stuff fit on two other plates. I think I had to do yeah, because I had to do the torso laying down to get the detail like on the chest plate. But then I kind of just let it arrange the arms and legs and stuff however it wanted to. But with the eyes and stuff, I was left with just the eyes and then those katana blades. And I was like, well, I want them silver and white. So I was like, I'm gonna try the print by object. And yeah, if I was trying to print anything like larger by object, I don't know that I could do it on that thing. But the only thing that saved me is because they're so small. Like the eye pieces are tiny.
Right.
So it was like I could push those to the corner and then put the blades on the other side of the plate. And it was like, there, they work.
Mm.
So I printed those by object. It did work well, and I didn't waste a bunch of filament for like 60 changes or whatever. But yeah, it's like they gotta be real little stuff where you just have two things you can kind of space out on opposite corners for a little bamboo mini to be able to handle it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. So on a slightly unrelated topic, have you seen what um uh the latest stuff with Fortnite?
Oh no, I haven't. I haven't looked at Fortnite for a while.
Okay, because on Fortnite, uh, in the battle pass, you have towards the end of the battle pass, you have two variations of Sub Zero.
Oh,
Yeah, including a couple really nice ice axes for pitchforks, or not
oh, that's
pitchforks,
cool.
but
Pickaxes.
pickaxes. Oh
Also, it's a new. Is it new battle pass time already?
yes,
Oh. I played, I think, a couple of days after the Godzilla stuff went live.
mm-hmm.
And then I remember I was kind of looking at the amount of stuff I had to do to get Godzilla, and I kind of lost interest in it. I
And
never got
I
Godzilla.
never, I did get no, I got Godzilla.
Hmm.
I don't know if I got the recolor. So like I got the blue one. I don't know if I got the pink one, or vice versa. I got the pink one. I don't know if I got the blue one. But um, I've played more Apex lately with Emily. Josh begrudgingly will play Apex. He wants to play other stuff because he's had me playing a fair bit of CS:GO when we're both available, or not CS:GO,
Oh
but
yeah,
CS2.
PS2. It's almost the same thing in my brain.
Well, I mean, and while we're playing, every time I'm like, why can't we just play the Fortnite version of this? I don't understand why.
Yeah,
Although
I would think.
on CS2 you can have as many as like 10 people on your squad at one time, but
Huh.
I I don't know.
Like, come on, man. CS2 is not that cool.
I want to emote.
I want to emote. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have really anything else for this week either. I had
Actually,
a
it lines up pretty good actually because we're closing in on the 2 hour mark, and I think that's a good place to stop. Uh,
yeah, I had a rough week outside of printing as well. I had to work at 12 and my battery died in my car. So I
well,
had derailment issues all over the place.
I have my third attempt on my AI certification on Wednesday coming up.
Oh.
So I'm a little nervous about that, not gonna lie, because I don't know what's gonna happen if I don't pass it.
Hmm.
It's my last attempt for this year. So
Hmm.
you know, I passed all the others. Um, like I had a colleague make it mention to me, it wouldn't look good if you didn't pass this. And I'm like, but we don't even teach this. Like, it's not something I've had exposure to. Uh,
Yeah.
but take it one step further, as far as I know, I'm the only faculty member who had to pass 6 industry certifications in a single half of a school year. But
Yeah.
hey, what do I know? You know,
Like, yeah, it's kind of a lot that I have to do for this semester here. Feel like I'm loaded up.
yeah. So, um, like, I'm a little nervous about that. But outside of, so I've been a little distracted because I did have
Hmm.
to do the networking one last week that I had missed by one question the previous attempt. Um, but I aced it this time. And then I've had multiple classes take their second attempt at their certification. So I've been stressed out with that too because the more they don't pass, the more I feel it makes me look like a bad teacher.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah, I get that.
but
Like, I'm doing my best. I don't know if you guys are dumb or
wow,
you
no,
can't say that though.
no.
You guys are idiots.
Oops.
And that's why I'm not a teacher.
Which is that? Oh, so
People that are adults, they ask me from time to time, but never been big on training.
well, I mean, the one thing I'm looking forward to is if I do pass this, okay, I feel honestly probably for the next 5, maybe 6 years, 7 years, maybe, I won't have to take another test myself, which will
Yeah.
make it a lot easier for me to deal with this stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
that pulls some stress off.
but who knows? I mean, the curriculum could change with the new government as it's coming in. So for all I know, uh, computers are going to be considered illegal aliens soon, and who knows?
They'll just teach you how to ban, what is it, deep think? How to block deep think.
The funny thing is, when that was first announced, one of our a senior that's not even in one of my classes had approached me to do an interview for her senior project regarding AI, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm not really an expert in AI. Just because I'm working on the certification doesn't make me an expert. And she's
Yeah.
like, at this school, you are the expert when it comes to any. Like, all right. So I agreed to do it. She asked me a question like, what do you feel like is the biggest issue with AI as a field, you know, or not as a field, but as like in the marketplace? What's like the biggest issue with AI? And this was right on the heels of the announcement of the DeepSeek stuff. And I was like, I personally feel that AI is too new and it has been released to the masses before it is ready. Okay.
Yeah.
And as a result, we've gotten so much bad AI and we've gotten so many things claiming to be AI that are not. And
Hmm.
um, it has so much growing it has to do, and there's so much potential it could offer, um, that people are going to be so exhausted with it when it's ready to hit its stride. Because
Yeah.
I mean, in public and as in general, people are already getting fatigued with the term. Okay,
Yep.
and we haven't even gotten into what it can actually do.
Yeah, it's still going through a lot of growing pains, but it's like it had became such a big marketing buzzword so fast that
I
it's
feel
it's everywhere.
I feel like that's what happened with like 3D movies too.
Yeah.
Like 3D movies are amazing, and uh, the immersion that you can experience can be amazing. But the technology was not even close to being perfect, and it was too expensive for anything decent, and anything that wasn't decent was so bad it just wasn't even worth the little bit of money it cost. And
Yeah.
when like some of the companies were really starting to refine the stuff, everyone was already like, yeah, no, I tried it with this and I tried it with that and it just didn't, no thanks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so it's like,
unfortunately the popularity had already fallen off before they really got it working well.
right, and there was so much potential for where that could have gone. um it's just sad to see, and I get the feeling aspects of AI are going to travel down the same path, where it's something
Mhm.
that's utilized by like large corporations and political parties and stuff like that. And people are either going to be so afraid of it because of all the examples of bad actors misusing it, or it's just never going to hit its final form. And, it's just going to be another technology that everyone got excited about, like Gorilla Glass, and it's just going to be total crap.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, especially like I don't know, there's not just marketing for products and everyone wanting, you know, you have all these new models constantly that they try to push you on to like, hey, try Gemini, try the new I don't even know what most of the other ones are called, but it's like everyone has a new model all the time.
I use
And then
Copilot rather frequently.
oh yeah, Copilot. And
Yeah.
then with now it's even the hardware that's being developed to support it better has AI crammed into the name like once or twice in every product name.
Show me an appliance nowadays that doesn't have AI listed
It
as one of its
boasts AI.
features.
Yeah. Even if it's like, oh yeah, it has a sensor in here to tell if it's overheating, and it's like AI temperature protection or something. They just call everything AI.
I mean, like,
It's like when I looked at AMD's new Ryzen like mobile chips, and they're all like Ryzen AI Max and Ryzen AI Plus or whatever. And it's like everything's just AI. They're like, how can we put AI in the product name? That way people know it has AI.
yeah, I mean, like I started using AI for pictures on my phone, which is how I made our logo, you know, with pictures of you and me through my phone with AI.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's almost where I want it. It's not perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny looking. I do like the, how it looks, but,
Yeah.
you know, if I tried this exact same thing a year from now, how much better are those going to look? Like,
Yeah.
or
And it's hard to get the
will it still
same
be
thing
available?
too.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, you can't get the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, if you ever like if you've done something like I've done where I got an image and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And then I just didn't think to save it to my hard drive and it's like I go back and I'm like, "Maybe if I feed it the same prompt,
Well,
you'll
okay.
you'll
So
never get the same thing."
I made the caffeinated Sith logo. Okay. That old man drinking coffee, the old Sith, and he's like sitting on a Death
Mhm.
Star. Okay. Drinking his
Yeah.
coffee. And I wanted to build on that, but every single one that came after that did not use the same guy as a reference.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was such a great image. I felt like if I could have created multiple marketing aspects of that guy's face, would have been fantastic. Like I've made a bunch of emotes using that chubby guy down there. Okay.
Yeah.
because my phone is actually using a lot of that influence. Not all of them. It changes quite a bit, but a lot of them are that influence right there. So I've been able to
Hmm.
make, a fair bit of emotes for the Twitch channel that reflect that guy. But I I wish maybe that there were things you could touch and say, "Oh, I want to keep this," and then I want you
Yeah.
to change this. That would be fantastic. That actually
Yeah.
would
Because
be
right.
fantastic.
Yeah. Because right now you can tell it to try and reuse something, but whether or not it does is a total crapshoot.
Hmm. Or it takes the same thing, but it alters it so that it's not the
Mm.
same thing anymore, which is rather
Yeah.
frustrating.
And you're
Um,
like, no, I wanted that thing to be the same. And then you change everything around it.
hmm yeah, yeah, and then like, okay, so you have that guy down there laughing with his cans on. Okay, great. The
Mhm.
background for that image is so stupid because he's like in the park with headphones on
He's in
laughing.
the park. Nice.
Why? Why is he in the park with his headphones on laughing like that? Like, honestly.
He's practicing his basketball commentary.
Yes.
That's what everyone does, right? That's how humans do.
Oh my god. So I had to take the background out, and like yours had that same image, okay, with a tie-dye shirt,
Hmm.
and you were like in a factory of some kind with the
Oh,
cans
nice.
on smiling.
With the
Okay.
cans on.
And I wanted
Yes.
to use the tie-dye shirt, but because it was tie-dye, there were so many colors that were the same as what was in the background. It
Oh, yeah.
eliminated too much stuff. So I kept the gray shirt because the gray shirt didn't match anything, and it was actually was able to take the background out.
Yeah. Yeah, I made that mistake. Well, a similar mistake when I was very first starting out stream. And I didn't have like hardly anything in here set up except for my desk. So my wife just dyed me a sheet that was a really bright green.
Hmm.
And then I hung it up behind me as a green screen.
Yeah, and yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and like one of the like third or fourth streams I think I had, I went to go live and I was like hadn't thought about it. I was wearing a shirt that had like three different shades of green on it. And then whenever I turned on my camera and stuff and switched my scene, I was like, oh no,
Well, okay,
like why
so
am I so weird looking?
you remember Toby?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so Toby had a total garbage webcam. Okay, I mean just total garbage webcam, and he liked having the green screen behind him, but he also had no lighting whatsoever. So
Mm.
the green kind of like enveloped the entire image. Okay, so when he
Uh,
would block out the green screen, he looked like a ghost playing his game.
yeah.
Like he was probably 80% translucent. Okay, and
Yep.
so he's sitting there, and you can see the whole game behind him because he's like barely there.
He's like semi-transparent most of the time. Yeah.
It's like he was in Back
Uh,
to the Future and he's being phased out of existence because his parents didn't
mhm.
make out with each other. It was so, and it was every stream.
Yeah.
It got so bad I sent him a light to add light to his face. Um,
Yeah.
and he used it, and he was only about 40% translucent then.
Nice. That was an improvement. You helped.
But I mean, his camera could not differentiate colors. Green was the prominent color, so everything had green mixed into it, including him.
Yeah. So it's just like, yeah, we'll just pull out all the green parts. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I was frustrated about how like yeah, because I had two lights at that point, but they were both these like really small. They were like super small little LED panels,
Mhm.
and I had them just on either side of my main monitor, and I just had to crank them all the way up because that's the only way I would get enough light on that green screen so that the same thing didn't happen to me. You know?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. I meant to lower this light at so long ago. Right now, it's at 17%, and it is way too bright. Let's see.
Oh, I did break out my second softbox. Just over yonder, so that I'm not like as dark. That was one thing I was super disappointed with how dark. Like in OBS, because that's what I'm primarily like monitoring on.
Mhm.
OBS looked pretty good, like in the last couple podcasts we did. And then whenever I would see it on YouTube, it's like, oh, it's way darker once it actually goes out.
Yeah.
So I brought out that because I was only using one light, and I was like, to me in OBS that looked fantastic. But I brought out the second light today so that I can have enough additional light. I'm not just enveloped in shadow.
Yeah. See, right now I'm at 8%, and I'm, I'm not as washed out. I should have changed this a while ago.
Yeah.
Uh, 8%. It's crazy. And I even 3D printed a diffuser for that light, and it's still
Oh yeah.
way too
I
bright.
got my. These are. I'm still using my $70 pair of soft boxes I got on Amazon.
Although it is a white diffuser, so I wonder if I did black PETG, if that would make a difference,
Would that work?
or maybe just a matte black to absorb some of the light.
You give
Because
it a shot.
I don't know.
I guess you got quite a bit of like additional brightness you can crank up on it though.
Well, yeah, apparently 92%. I mean, here, let me see the if I go.
Go.
Oh,
Oh well. You go real avant-garde with it and make it like a red diffuser. Once you're just washed in red.
yeah, I just
Dang it, my
moved
camera's. Oh man, it's tracking me now.
it.
Hate it. Oh. I always set this thing up and I have it like static set. And then because I messed up and I did the stupid hand gesture earlier,
Well, can't you?
it not only does it punch in, but it starts tracking as well.
Doesn't it have a numerical thing where like you can set angle number one, and no matter what, if you hit just one on your keyboard, it'll automatically snap in place?
I think it does. I have to set that up still. No, wrong one. Come on. It's like, I remember, is it this one? I can't tell. It did something. Hey, I think I froze it in place.
That looks like it.
Yes, okay. Yeah,
If I
because like whenever I pull up OBS, I know in OBS I can actually adjust the exact pan and tilt. And I can just like leave it there. And that's what I've done. And then I'll just have the gesture control off. But anytime you do any gesture, this is what I wish it would do is if I turn gesture control off to just ignore gestures. But so far I don't think it works like that. If I do any of the L's or something, it'll do that one command, but it also enables all the tracking and stuff.
would be funny is because we're both on the same screen. If I did like an L, if it automatically like registered, it would kick it on for you all the time.
No, the camera has to see it.
So funny. Um, the funny thing is, like with my Elgato face cam, in the software, I can set face tracking, and it'll zoom in to a point that allows for an additional field. So I would be able to move side to side, and it would partially track, you know, to try and keep me in frame,
Yeah.
which I thought was kind of cool. But then I was like, you know what? I just want a better camera. Like, I want a
Yeah.
clearer camera.
Yeah,
The
I'm
funny,
liking this one. It turned out
yours
pretty
is
good.
super clear on your stream, but you've been digitized on mine the entire time.
Um, that might be something with OBS or virtual camera or even my internet connection. You never know. Actually, it could be. Oh, never mind. I do have it. Actually, let's do this. Maybe if I bring so that my window where I'm sharing that with you on Twitch, I think if I bring that into the foreground so it's not behind anything, maybe it'll prioritize that a little bit better. Possibly. I'm not sure. Yeah, I am all fuzzy on yours.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I don't have like a setting weird.
I don't think you do because on your stream you're perfectly clear.
Well, it did default my maximum video quality to 900p. Although that doesn't look like 900p over there either.
I'm watching
I
you
don't
in
know.
1080 60.
Yeah, I just pulled up the settings like real quick on the share window, and it was like my output or performance or whatever was like, oh, it's a what did it say? It was going to be 1600 by 900 would be the maximum, but that it doesn't even look sharp enough to have like I don't think it was broadcasting at that. It looks way worse than that.
Oh, that reminds me. NVIDIA broadcast, apparently they have introduced artificial lighting.
Mm.
Oh, hey, Cyphermain. We are good. Actually, we were getting ready to wrap everything up because we pretty much we shot our wad when it came to conversation a good like 20 minutes ago. We've just
Yeah.
been kind of vamping for like the last 20 minutes. But how are you doing? Uh anyway, the Nvidia broadcast has artificial lighting to go along with their artificial backgrounds. That's okay. You can always check out the shorts on YouTube later or listen to it on Spotify. Um but I didn't even mention at the beginning of the stream all the different places you can listen to it.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to do that before we log sign off. But who was it? Harris Heller was doing he does all those uh streamer tech videos where he's trying to show you how to make things look amazing, which he's got a crew of people with degrees who are working on simple materials trying to make them look incredible. But the artificial lighting actually looked pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. But I don't know how many resources it uses up because Nvidia uses a lot of resources.
Yeah. It depends. I mean, I know, especially with them putting so many more AI cores on stuff, it's like I think it might be using mostly the AI cores to do that
Oh,
stuff, which
maybe.
hopefully would prevent it from impacting your other performance very much.
Yeah, I
Yeah, because
know.
I just saw the thumbnail for that video you're talking about actually, but I didn't actually watch it because I was like, well, I don't have that anymore, so like, it's not something I can look at.
Cypherman, I know I saw that we had 450 views on a lot of videos. That was one of the first things I actually talked about because I was super excited. The except for the one video that only had 27 views, which I still find hysterical. That we had like 509, 445, 458, 27, 4
27.
like
Right.
whatever that is, we will never talk about it again, I promise.
Like everyone hated that. That's what you see in the bottom, like the summary.
I have to pull it up again. What was that? Oh, hydrate.
Oh, look at you.
I finished my drink. Um,
Oh no. I still have some
all right, Shiggles is gonna hydrate for me.
delicious beverage. Some Pepsi Zero.
Yeah, we did get a
It's the
comment.
best.
The person complimented the video and said that if the editing was better, it would get picked up by the algorithm, which I can't really
This,
argue. I mean,
yeah.
he's probably right. Oh,
It's like, yeah, that's subjective.
mastering Forge, something we talked about tonight.
Oh, yeah.
That's the
Wonder
27
I wonder if
views.
there's a I wonder if there's a lot of people that have just given up on HughForge because it's hard. And they're just like, I don't care anymore. Like I see all these people that have because I had noticed that. Like there were a lot of videos that I found initially that were kind of like the basic how-tos for HughForge.
Yeah.
And then it seems like they just never carried them through past like episode one. I wonder if they had the same thing and it's just like interest just tanked on those videos or something. And they were like, yeah, I guess I'm not going to do an episode two of this.
Yeah, your question. Okay, so the shorts, I've actually been using AI to generate the material for the shorts. It automatically goes through and picks out topics that it thinks are going to be interesting from what we discuss and I tell it I want the videos to be 1 minute or less. So it takes content based off of what it thinks are interesting. I watch them, and if I like them, I can upload them. And your question was definitely one of them. And at first, the first couple of days it was up, I want to say it was somewhere around like 127 views. And then once um, Shiggle's talking about his wife printing for charity, and the one where I was talking about, um, I think it was the where I was talking about, you know, um, a business model where you could lease printers versus having to buy them. Uh,
Mhm.
those both went over like 200, and your question shot up over 500 like almost instantly. And it was the first one to get to 500. There's one more that made it there, but all the rest then took turns. Like Shiggle's wife's prints moved up to the 400s next, and then something else moved up to 400, and then something else moved, and then that one video on HughForge stayed at 27 the whole time and just never moved. Well, it does make it easier. Okay, having the AI scrub through to identify potentially interesting topics does make it easier. But like for tonight's episode, I don't know that we're gonna get 6 shorts out of tonight. Okay. Uh, plus, apparently, I need to come up with some snappier editing, which I don't dispute because I didn't add music. I didn't put like any kind of fancy reactions to it or anything. Um, but uh,
It's also a podcast, though. I feel like maybe I don't know. Because I don't really like that stuff when I'm watching like more of an informational or conversational type video.
well, I'm not talking about the long form version. Okay, I'm talking about
Oh, okay.
the shorts. Okay,
Okay.
just to make the shorts pop. You know,
Mm,
that's what I'm talking about. Which the when in thinking about it and designing the shorts to be more appealing to people, it makes sense to put uh, some kind of music in the background just to give it a little rhythm to it. Um,
mhm.
Maybe some sort of like transition that comes on or takes it out, one of the two. Um, Electrifying one of us if we say something interesting. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I could do. So I'll definitely look into that because it makes sense to do something just to, and only for the shorts. I'm not like the funny stuff I've done on the long form stuff was related more to when we were having technical difficulties and things like that. So there was no
Yeah.
point in. I'm not trying to take away from the conversation by putting, stupid flashy stuff on the screen.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the conversation. If it's interesting, be interesting. You know,
Exactly.
um,
Yeah.
because like uh, one of the reasons why I got into that's what it was. So when I was talking about why we started the podcast, that was the first one that hit 500. Okay, that's the one
Mm,
that hit 500 first. Anyway, when I was thinking about starting the podcast, I was watching, or I'm still watching, the Talkville podcast with the guy who played Superman and the guy who played Lex Luthor from Smallville. Those two guys, um, and they're watching every episode of Smallville, breaking it down episode by episode. The only special effects they have in these things are there's a transition where it shows the title of the episode they're going to discuss, and there's a transition to and from their sponsors, and there's if they have a special guest, they may have like a little yay or something that shows up on the screen. Outside of that,
mhm.
it's all about the conversation, camera swaps, stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
and to me, it's it is a fantastic way to interact with, especially if you want to know what people's ideas are, what they remember, what their impressions are. Getting their information and having that be the center issue, not you know, are we going to have interesting music playing or that kind of stuff. You're wondering where I get my 3D models? Oh, okay. So you can go to all the regular places that you hear about, um, printables, Thingiverse, Things, um, obviously Maker World. Uh, I do get most of my models from Maker World because they're free. There's free is always the best.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do get a few from Printables, and I actually became a member of a service called STL Flix because they have some really creative people making some really cool stuff. And since I wanted to start a business selling to try and augment the cost of running the 3D printers, I'm sorry, um, STL Flix was interesting to me because you have full commercial license to sell anything that's on there. Uh, you can't sell the files, but you can sell prints. So I'm trying that out. So far, there hasn't been any interest in any of the stuff that I've listed from them. So I may stop uh, that service in the next couple months. Um, I have a threshold financially. If I don't cover it, then it's just I'm gonna cut that off and move on to something else. But um, there's that, and also on Maker World, I did sign up with one person's Patreon for the book nooks to be able to sell the book nooks. So, um, but in general, I mean, I scour Maker World to find stuff to print. I mean, it could take me all day, but I'll pick out like 5 or 6 things that I'm going to print, and I go ahead and put them in a queue. And when one's done, pop it off, get the next one going. So, where do you get yours from? Sugar.
Almost everything that I get also comes off Maker World.
Yeah.
Uh, the few things I think that I don't get from there do come from printables.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only two that so far I use. I haven't checked out STL Flix just yet. Probably something I will do at some point, but also I don't know. Maker World seems to be the easiest one since I have a bamboo printer, especially when they have the preset print profiles for the A1 Mini.
I
Makes a
have
little less work on my end.
I have purchased a couple of 3D models from Game Body for whenever I start doing resin printing because they
Oh,
have
okay.
uh, one of the best selections of specific to resin printing models. Okay, everything in the sci-fi genre. I don't care what it is.
Mm.
They've got something there. Okay, I purchased a White Star from Babylon 5.
Oh,
I have not attempted to print it. Okay, but I have it. Okay. Um, like let me think, Pennywise, but like full on, he's holding the balloon with this really demented look on his face. Um, you got to go right now. Okay, no, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. If you
yeah.
do check out any of the
Appreciate you
videos,
dropping in.
let me know what your impressions are. Okay, because feedback is nothing but helpful. So I would appreciate any feedback that you could give. That would be great. Thanks for stopping by. Trying to think what other ones. Star Wars. Okay, I Han Solo encased in carbonite. I got one of those.
Oh,
Okay.
very nice. That'd
Um,
be a good one.
Grogu, um, like eating one of those frogs. It's like sticking out of his mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Um, there's a bunch of them I got from that. There wasn't an Enterprise. I forget which one it was. It might have been from the Wrath of Khan because I that one had the really like modular, um, like squared off. What were those things called again?
Run to
Nacelles.
cells.
Yeah, the nacelles. Yeah. Um, there was something else from Star Wars also. It might have been the Emperor's throne room as as a backdrop for something. So, I mean, Game Body has a fantastic selection of resin-based 3D models. So,
Might have to check it out and see if I can play with them. Get something to print out on my FDM printer from the STLs.
oh, okay. You know what? I do have one more thing I can talk about. Actually, that
Huh.
I tried this week. I tried using Orca Slicer because every
Hmm.
video they're like, "Oh, Orca Slicer is the best. You need to use Orca Slicer." Um, there is no profile for my Cheaty on Orca Slicer, which is a huge bummer because I thought that if it was there, that would be the way where I could run my bamboo and um, my Cheaty off the same slicer,
Yeah.
and it wasn't there. and I was so bummed because they have every other cheaty printer out there, including the commercial one, but they don't have the full
Really?
store. Yeah,
Huh. Interesting.
and it's been out long enough by now. You'd think it would be there.
Yeah, I'd have thought they'd for sure have one.
Um, and it is laid out slightly different than the bamboo slicer, and I have come to really like the bamboo slicer. And the thing I appreciate about what Cheaty did, they basically have 100% copied the bamboo slicer, okay, and just slapped their own brand on it. So
Yeah.
it's almost the same experience. That's why I wish that they cross communicated so that I could
Mm.
legitimately just, tell both printers to print because I'm doing the same thing on both printers. It's like
Huh.
it would be so much easier for me. But then again, I could see me sending a print to the wrong printer that way. I could see it.
Yeah, it does increase the likelihood there. You just have the wrong thing selected. Pow.
So yeah, I was
Especially with all the print profile weirdness too from like you grab something off Maker World and then it loads up a different printer entirely. So you have to select your printer manually every time.
every time.
All you got to do is just misclick. You just misclick on the cheaty or something, send the wrong print to it.
That would be funny if it was trying to, with the one filament, it's trying to pull, like cosmic gray or some stupid color name. No, matte PLA white. Deal with it. That's what
That's
we
right.
got.
It's everything.
That's what we got.
This is what I use. This one.
All right, but you know what? I think that's a good spot to end it. We actually got one interaction in the chat, and
Yeah.
okay, so go ahead and close out your end, and then I'll close it out um, as I want to organize my thoughts on everything I want to mention.
All right, man. For my closeout, what am I going to say for my closeout? For my side, all right. Well, we will see how the mini performs with an enclosure. That's basically the takeaway for this next week. Depending on when I can get an enclosure, see how long shipping time is. But I'm going to see if that fixes the issues. If it does, then I feel like I can more strongly recommend it, knowing it's an environmental issue and not some like weirdness with the drives or something that occasionally screws up.
That's cool. Anything else?
Not really.
Okay.
Pending store opening too. We'll see if we can get more
Yes.
reliability, and then I'll open an Etsy shop if I can get it that
We
up
need to
to
get that
snuff.
that Shiggle shop going.
Yeah,
And at some point, we may even get a Patreon going, and who knows? Um,
coming soon. TM.
yeah. All right. So if you are checking us out on Twitch or YouTube, please make sure to leave a like. A comment would be fantastic. Um, a follow for Shiggles so that we can get him over that 50-person threshold would be awesome on Twitch. Also to you know, any additional subscribers we could get on the YouTube side. When, by the way, when I first started posting these, I was at 24 subscribers on YouTube, and I think now I'm at
Mhm.
45. So we've almost doubled
Oh
that
wow,
number, which is nice.
that
Um,
is nice.
if you want to listen to the podcast, okay, the non-video version of the podcast is available on Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple's iPod selection. So, or podcast selection. I keep saying iPod. I don't know why I keep saying iPod. Apple's podcast selections. So, if you hear us there and you want to ask a question, make a comment, give a like, uh, that's that's how you do it. So, um, are we going to be back next week or how? I don't know. We didn't even talk about it yet.
My schedule as of right now is totally fine for next week, so I
Okay,
don't
so
foresee any issue with it.
as things stand, we're hoping that I will have a completed Deadpool by next weekend, and Shiggles will have a completed DeLorean by next weekend.
Yep.
Um, and we'll see what else is happening in 3D printing world between now and then. So, uh, thank you so much. I very much appreciate all the attention because that's why I'm doing
That's right.
it. And I would love to see if we could climb and get like one video over 600 this week. That would be wild. I'd love to see that. Um, I don't know. I feel like we've set a bar now. We need to try and get something.
That's right.
So that would
We
be
have to get
fantastic.
we have to get more views each week. It has to climb. Number
As we
or
say
what do they
that,
say?
it's gonna get.
Line go up.
But yeah. So we've set a minimum goal at 500. So you know we're shooting for above that now. That's pretty much all I have. So
Cool. Yeah, I mean, we'll be back here next week, but I thank everybody for all the attention on the YouTube shorts and on the videos, and